Live on a Friday night, it's Utah Grizzlies hockey, as this evening's the second of a three-game series between the Grizzlies and the Kansas City Mavericks. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Utah Grizzlies hockey. I'm Tyson Whiting. I'm here live at Mavericks Center in the studio next to the Grizzlies team store. The Grizzlies are over at Independence, Missouri, Cable Dahmer Arena, as they take on the Kansas City Mavericks for the second of 8 season meetings and the fourth of 8-game road trip. Utah is currently 1-2 on the road trip. They have lost 2 in a row. Utah opened up the road trip with a 2-1 victory at Idaho on October 28th. The following night, Jake Kupski got a 23-save shutout. Last Tuesday, over in Independence, Missouri, Dylan Fitz scored a first-period goal. Taryn Fizer lit the lamp halfway through the second period, and the Grizzlies led 2-1 heading into the third period. And it was a really strange third as the Grizzlies outshot the Mavericks 21-8 in the third period. Utah had 5 full power plays and half of a 6 power play. They pretty much had 11 minutes worth of power play time, including 1 minute of 5-on-3 power play time, yet they couldn't find anything past Shane Sterrett, the Kansas City goaltender. And so Utah came away. They were still up 2-1, but then Kansas City tied the game. Tristan Mullen getting his third of the year, 8:25 in. And then Keegan Howdeshell scored the game winner with 1:58 left in regulation as the Mavericks defeated the Grizzlies 3-2. Well, some changes have been made to Kansas City as Shane Sterrett, their starting goaltender, was recalled to the AHL's Coachella Valley Firebirds. And I think Dylan Kelly might end up getting the start in net for Kansas City. We'll have to check on that. Utah will go with Garrett Metcalf in net. He'll be making his first appearance of the season. In fact, the last 2 games that Metcalf played last year before suffering a season-ending injury were against the Kansas City Mavericks. On March 11th, he stopped 39 of 40 as Utah won 3-1. Ben Tardif had 1 goal and 1 assist that night. And then the following evening, Utah completed a 3-game sweep of Kansas City as Metcalf stopped 40 of 43. Utah ended up winning 6-3. Ben Tardif had a hat trick that night. And for timeout guys for the Grizzlies that need to step forward offensively, it's Ben Tardif, who had 20 goals and 39 assists in about 59 games last season. Tardif averaged about a goal every 3 games, but he's looking to find a way to light the lamp for the first time this season. He had a lot of success against Kansas City last year. Can he find a way to get going offensively for the Grizzlies, who have 10 goals through 5 games, and Taryn Fizer has 5 of those 10 goals. When we come back, we'll give you the lineups for both teams, and we will also talk about what the Grizzlies need to do offensively to jumpstart things against the Kansas City Mavericks. We're in business on a Friday night, and you're listening to the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Rio Tinto.
With the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account today.
Welcome back to Utah Grizzlies hockey, as it's a Friday night over at Cable Dahmer Arena. Face-off is in about 10 minutes as we're live on Flow Sports, and the audio feed is on YouTube all season long. Garrett Metcalf, as we mentioned before, will get the start in net for the Grizzlies. It will be his first start of the season. In fact, Lucas Breek is not even dressed for the Grizzlies. The backup goaltender tonight is an emergency backup. Mario Vrab, V-R-A-B. He'll be the emergency backup to Garrett Metcalf tonight. Garrett was selected in the 6th round of the 2015 NHL entry draft by the Anaheim Ducks. Last season with Utah, he had a 4-3-1 record with a .918 save percentage and 2.63 goals against average. Metcalf has been solid in 18 career pro games up until this point. He spent part of training camp in the AHL with the Calgary Wranglers, and it sounded like he played pretty well in camp with Calgary, and they'll obviously take a look at him tonight, as he'll be going up against the Kansas City Mavericks, who are led by head coach Tad O'Had. In fact, Kansas City's NHL affiliate is the Seattle Kraken. So it should be interesting to see Garrett Metcalf go up against Kansas City tonight. We're not sure who the starters are yet for the Grizzlies, but we do know they're going with 11 forwards and 6 defensemen tonight. Dakota Raby's going to be out there for Utah on the top forward line. He'll be lined up next to Brandon Cutler, who's played in 3 games and has 14 shots on goal. And Terran Pfizer, what can you say? He's got 5 of Utah's 10 goals. Pfizer has a goal in 4 of the 5 games, and he's got a shooting percentage of 27.8%, 5 goals on 18 shots, and he scored their game's first goal on 2 different occasions. So watch out for Terran Pfizer, once again, who will be wearing number 8 for the Grizzlies. Ben Tardif, somebody to watch out for. He's my pick to click. He's got an assist in each of the first 3 games this season. He's scoreless in 2 straight, but we know what he's capable of offensively. Watch out for Tardif scoring a goal maybe tonight, and he could obviously with his vision on the ice, he could certainly be instrumental in setting up either Zach Sekos or Cameron Wright, as those two will be paired up with Ben Tardif all night long. We'll also see Keaton Jamison in there, along with Tyler Penner and Dylan Fitz. If we're talking about Utah's best forwards on Tuesday, as the Grizzlies had 2 days off against Kansas City, Dylan Fitz in the first period had 5 of Utah's first 8 shots on goal. In fact, he scored 6:01 into the first period for his first goal of the season last Tuesday. So watch out for Fitz. He'll be lined up next to Penner and Jamison. We'll also see Cam Strong and Johnny Walker in there for Utah. So the 11 forwards for the Grizzlies tonight: Raby, Cutler, and Pfizer, Tardif, Sekos, and Wright. Jamison's paired up with Penner and Fitz. And we'll also see Cam Strong and Johnny Walker. 6 defensemen for the Grizzlies tonight. We did not see Victor Bartley on Tuesday, but Bartley is back in the Grizzlies lineup tonight, wearing number 42. He'll be paired up with Connor McDonald, the Grizzlies captain. McDonald is even on the plus-minus category, and it will be his 6th game of the season. McDonald will wear number 5 for the Grizzlies. We'll also see Andrew Nilsson in there for Utah. He's got 3 assists in 5 games. In fact, he's got 3 assists in his last 4 games. He'll be paired up with Nate Clermont, the former Notre Dame captain. Bryce Martin will be in there for the Grizzlies, and it's either Kyle Pouncey or Joey Kolatarchi. Both guys took warm-ups. I'm not sure which one's going to be in for the Grizzlies. One of them will be a scratch, and one of them will be in the lineup. So either be Kolatarchi or Penner. They'll be lined up with Bryce and Martin this evening. And we did mention that Garrett Metcalf, the former Mercyhurst product, he'll be in net for the Grizzlies. In fact, he was a teammate at Mercyhurst with Josh Lamon, one of Kansas City's best forwards. For the Kansas City Mavericks, they've got a record of 3-1. They're led by third-year head coach Tad O'Had. Yesterday, they announced their captains for the season. They did that 4 games into the year. Nick Pastajov, who got an assist in the game-winning goal that Keegan Howdeshell scored. Pastajov will be the captain and wear the C for Kansas City. He's got 6 points in 4 games, 3 goals and 3 assists, and a +3 rating. The alternate captains this year for the Mavericks: Laurent Gillette, number 14, playing his 5th season with Kansas City. Tommy Muck, who was one of Kansas City's best defensemen on Tuesday night. He'll wear number 3. He's got 1 assist in 4 games. And Josh Lamon, as we mentioned, a college teammate at Mercyhurst with Garrett Metcalf. Lamon will wear number 13. He's got 2 assists in 4 games. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight between the Grizzlies and the Mavericks. One thing to watch out for is Kansas City has been a pretty good team offensively. Through 4 games, they averaged 3.8 goals per game, and they allowed 2.8. For the Grizzlies, you know they got a couple practices in, as they had 2 days off in Independence, Missouri, and they got a community rink where they can practice without any sort of interruption. As Thursday, the arena, Cable Dahmer Arena, was the site of a concert. But the Grizzlies have been working on trying to generate some offense, as they're wearing the black jerseys tonight with white trim and white numbers and professional green trim. And Kansas City, we're not sure what jerseys they're going to wear as of yet, as it looks like they're going to announce their starting lineups. Over at Cable Dahmer Arena, looks like a late arriving crowd for a Friday night, 2nd of the 3-game series. And for the Grizzlies, it's the 4th game of 8 straight on the road. These teams will meet once again tomorrow night, 6:05 face-off in the Mountain Time Zone. We'll begin coverage at 5:50. And then the Grizzlies will be in Allen, Texas, for 3 games in 4 days. That'll be November 9th, 11th, and 12th, the Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Then the Grizzlies return home for 6 straight games, beginning on Thursday, November 17th, as they take on the Idaho Steelheads. Don't forget the second game of that series will be the annual Pooch on the Pond on Friday, November 18th, and then both teams will have Saturday off. There will be an event at Maverick Center, and that series will conclude on Sunday, November 20th at 3:05. It's the Grizzlies and the Mavericks. Face-off will be shortly over at Cable Dahmer Arena, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of test the Grizzlies have for Kansas City and where they can generate the offense. You know, as we've been talking about before, you know, is it going to be Ben Tardif that gets going offensively? You know, maybe Brandon Cutler scores his first goal of the season. Looks like we do have the starters for both teams as Kansas City wearing a orange jersey. There's white on the shoulders, a little bit of white beneath, and orange in the middle of the jersey. Starting in net for the Grizzlies is Garrett Metcalf. His last 2 appearances for the Grizzlies came against Kansas City, March 11th and 12th, getting back-to-back victories before suffering a season-ending injury. Starting in defensive pairing for the Grizzlies will be Connor McDonald and Victor Bartley. Bartley did not play on Tuesday, but he's back in there. In 4 games this season, Bartley has 1 assist. So that's the starting defensive pairing. Starting forwards, Taryn Fizer, who's got a goal in 4 of his 5 games. He's got 5 goals on the season. He has 5 of Utah's 10 goals on the campaign, so watch out for him. He'll be lined up next to Dakota Raby, the University of Michigan product. In fact, Raby played at Michigan with the new Kansas City captain, Nick Passageoff, as those guys were teammates at the University of Michigan. And we'll also have Brandon Cutler in there, Cutler playing center for the Grizzlies on that top forward line. So once again, the starters are Raby, Cutler, and Fizer. Starting defensive pairing is Connor McDonald and Victor Bartley. Starting in net for Kansas City is Dylan Kelly. This will be his 2nd appearance of the season. Kelly really struggled in his only outing. That turned out to be a loss for Kansas City. He's got a goals against average of 8.73 with a .792 save percentage, but obviously a very small sample size. Last season, he played in 14 games with the Rapid City Rush and had a 9-2 record with a .910 save percentage and 2.98 goals against average. So watch out for Dylan Kelly tonight, and he'll be in net wearing number 60 for the Kansas City Mavericks. As unfortunately, the screen is frozen a couple times over at Cable Dahmer Arena. Hopefully that doesn't last throughout the broadcast, or we could certainly have an interesting one. Starting defensive pairing for Kansas City, Nick Konopke. He wears number 5. He played at the University of Nebraska, Omaha the last 4 years, and he'll be lined up next to Jordan Sambrook. Sambrook wearing number 6. Starting forwards, the captain, Nick Passageoff. He was just elected as team captain yesterday, and he'll be lined up next to Jeremy McKenna and Tristan Mullen. That's going to be the starting forwards for Kansas City in the 2nd of a 3-game series. We'll come back and have face-off over at Cable Dahmer Arena. It's the Grizzlies and the Mavericks. Face-off's coming up next on the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Rio Tinto. Great night for hockey as 2 big standings points are on the line tonight as the Grizzlies take on the Kansas City Mavericks in the 2nd of a 3-game series. I'm Tyson Whiting, working through some internet issues, believe it or not, here at Maverick Center as the Grizzlies are taking on the Kansas City Mavericks for the 2nd of a 3-game set. And it should be an interesting night of hockey as Utah trying to find a way to end a 2-game losing skid. And we'll we'll see what happens here tonight as the Grizzlies hopefully will have some internet to be able to watch this game, as the Grizzlies wearing the black jerseys tonight with white numbers and professional green trim. Kansas City wearing a orange jersey with a little bit of white mixed in the front and in the top and bottom of the jersey tops. Referee tonight is Alex Normandin. The linesmen are Daniel Huntington and Russ Call. That's the two linesmen tonight. As looks like we're about set for face-off pretty soon. Hopefully internet issues won't be too much of an issue here tonight for the second game of the three-game set. Looks like the Grizzlies are going to be skating from right to left, as we see it on Flow Sports. In your mind's eye, see it on Mixler or on YouTube this season. Brandon Cutler will take the draw. He'll be going up against Hugo Waugh. Utah wins the faceoff and dump it in as we're underway here on a Friday night over at Cable Dahmer Arena. Dakota Raby battling in the corner as he'll get it towards Tardif. Now he gets it taken away as Kansas City comes back the other way. They cross center ice, and Raby back in the left side looks to center it. It's picked off by Kansas City as the Mavericks out in front of their net. Pfizer battling. He's on the left side. He'll spin it around for Cutler. He's behind the net. Now Dakota Raby will feed it out in front. Kansas City picks it off as the Mavericks back in their own zone. They spread the ice. 45 seconds into the game as Kansas City from the left side will carry it in. And now the Grizzlies take it away as Utah will get it out towards center ice. Kansas City back up with it as the Mavericks will feed it across to Passagov. He'll skate down the middle, and he'll feed it over towards McKenna. McKenna will skate in. He'll take a shot, and Metcalf makes a glove save. We have a whistle, 1:02 into the contest as Garrett Metcalf makes the stop for Utah. And it's an interesting story for Garrett, who last played for the Grizzlies on March 12th against Kansas City. He stopped 40 of 43 and got the victory as Utah won 6-3 over the Kansas City Mavericks. Well, unfortunately, we're having some internet issues with my feed in Kansas City, and we'll see if we can get those straightened out. As looked like a pretty good first minute for Utah. We were able to get some offensive zone time as now the Grizz have it. Across center ice, Ben Tardif dumps it in. As over towards the right side, Kansas City spins it around the boards. Now it's in the left point. Utah gets over to Ben Tardif. It glances off his stick and goes to the far corner. Josh Elms will toss it out to center ice. Utah gets it back. About 2 minutes into the game, Utah dumps it in, and Kansas City will, it looked like a whistle blew, as taking its Keegan Howda shell. And there's 18-13 left in the first. Mavericks with one shot that was taken by McKenna about a minute in, and Metcalf made the save. Looks like a draw is going to come out to center ice. Tyler Penner will take it for Utah against Josh Lamon. Lamon, the former Mercier's product, has some experience with the Allen Americans, and now he's in Kansas City wearing number 13. Played last season with the Cardiff Devils. As Grizz win the faceoff, Fitz with a backhand shot. That one goes wide as he's casing Dylan Kelly. Now the Mavericks cross center ice, and they'll dump it in. As Metcalf will watch it, he'll stay in his crease. Grizzlies try to nudge it across their net as Kansas City over on the left side skates towards the circle. Shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to the Mavericks. They'll skate towards the right corner. Now behind the net. Mavericks try to feed it out in front. It glanced off a stick, and the Mavericks are able to get it back to the right point. Theo Calvis will feed it across. Now the Mavericks with a righty shot. Blocker saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to the left side in the corner. It's Kansas City battling. Penner in the area. As taking it is Keaton Jamison. He'll nudge it ahead. Now it's to center ice. Calvis picks it off. Utah pokes it back in. Joey Colatarchi is in there, so it looks like Kyle Pouncey's a scratch, and Colatarchi is in. Mavericks cross center ice and dump it in. Bryson Martin in the right corner, battling. Utah will get it across towards their net. Now the Grizz skating from right to left, get to neutral ice. Now they cross center, and dumps it in onto goaltender Dylan Kelly. Grizzlies chase after Kelly, and the Kansas City goaltender freezes the puck. We got a whistle 3 minutes in. Mavericks one shot on goal. Utah's yet to take one on Dylan Kelly. We had some internet issues early on, and hopefully those will have subsided. Believe it or not, for like the 2 hours before game time, internet was perfect. Of course, once the game starts, I guess it's a different story. Cutler will take the face-off, Utah against Jake Jaremko, as Utah trying to end a 2-game losing skid. Grizz win the face-off over to the high slot. Lefty shot that goes wide. That was taken by Victor Bartley. Over in the corner, Kansas City gathers it. They skate from left to right. Mavericks will get it out across center ice. Now to the left side, they skate towards a circle. Around the net goes Kansas City, who has good team speed. Over to Tommy Muck. He feeds it across. Left side, lefty shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound out in front. Where's the puck? It looks like Garrett's covered up as a whistle blows. Good job by Connor McDonald, Cutler, and Keaton Jamison protecting their goaltender. Actually, I think that was Dakota Raby as Tad O'Had, the Kansas City coach, looks on. Still no score. Kansas City's taking the first 2 shots of this game. On Tuesday night, Utah had the first 7 shots on goal on Kansas City's Shane Starrett. Starrett yesterday was called up to the AHL's Coachella Valley Firebirds. As the draw over in the left circle, Penner takes it, and Kansas City ends up winning it. Over to the left side, Mavericks spin it to the corner. Utah boxes him out. Penner behind the net, pushing Kansas City. Mavericks will literally kick it towards the far wing boards. Grizz get it out to center ice. They dump it in. Foot race, is it going to be icing? No, it's not. Tommy Muck gets pushed along the boards. Getting spun around is Jake McLaughlin. He played for the Champs last year in Florida. Now 2-on-2. Jeremy McKenna skates in. Left circle. Shot. That gets blocked. Utah gets it out to center ice. Utah nudges it ahead. Right side. Grizz look to center it. Kicks off a Maverick skater who will pick it up and skate around the net. Kansas City, right wing pass. They enter the offensive zone. McKenna feeds a centering pass. Shot. Saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to Utah in the right corner. As we're 4 minutes into the game, still no score. Grizz cross center ice, and they dump it in. Mavericks will chase after it. Utah makes a line change as Theo Calvis will feed it across. Mavericks get to neutral ice. Now they pin a pass in as Colatarchi chases after along with Bryson Martin. Mavericks settle into the offensive zone. Left side, they feed it across to Calvis. Right side, he'll take a shot, and it gets blocked by Cameron Wright, number 15. Sekos in the corner, pins Kansas City. Mavericks skate towards the left side, feed it to the point, and nobody's there. As Mavericks have to run back into their own zone to get it. As we're about 5 minutes into the game, still no score. Kansas City crosses center ice, right wing pass. Taking it is Tristan Mullen. He tries to center it. Utah picks it off. Ben Tardif will feed it over to the far side. Now back to Tardif. He skates down the middle. Now he veers off to the left. Tardif skates across the offensive line, gets over to the goal line, centers it, and looks like Utah couldn't handle it, and that was Cutler out in front. Now the Grizzlies back in their own zone 5 minutes in. Get it near the bench area. Kansas City will take control of it as they spread the ice. They peel back into their own zone. Mavericks skate from left to right here in the first period as they're along the near side. Glances off of Pfizer. Now into the Utah offensive corner. Cutler with a sharp angled shot that goes wide. Now to the right point. Bartley in the high slot takes a lefty shot. That one goes wide. Kansas City glances towards the right corner. Now it gets kicked toward the slot. Mavericks pick that off, and they'll clear it out. As it looks like it deflects out of play into the Mavericks bench. Keegan Howdeshell in the area. He was Tuesday night's hero as he scored with 1:58 left in regulation as Kansas City got the victory 3-2. Draw's going to come back into the Mavericks zone. Cutler will take the face-off. He's got Raby to his right and Pfizer to his left. Second of a 3-game set. Both teams will meet in Independence, Missouri tomorrow night. Same time, same channels. Utah wins the draw, but they'll peel it back to center ice as Nate Klerman gets over to Pfizer. Pfizer in his own zone as the Grizzlies want to possess the puck and see if they can come away with the first goal of the game. As Raby at neutral ice will skate towards his right. He'll feed a right wing pass to Pfizer. Pfizer back to Raby. He'll skate down the middle. Backhand shot. Saved by Kelly. Best look by Utah so far. And Kelly made a nice save on a backhand attempt by Raby. Grizzlies over in the high slot. Klerman with a shot, and that one goes wide. Mavericks get the rebound off the boards. They'll get it out to center ice. Gillette gets blasted by Andrew Nilsson. Grizzlies re-enter. Raby over to the right side. Looking to skate around the net is Cutler. He'll skate to Raby. Raby gets pinned along the end boards. with the left corner nearby. He's pinned by Tommy Muck. Raby continues to get pinned there. 6.5 minutes into the game, still no score. As Kansas City comes out of the pile with the puck, they'll backhand it out to Grizzlies territory and all the way past Garrett Metcalf's goal line for an icing call. 13:24 left here in the first. Kansas City with 3 shots, Utah with 1. As Utah make a line change, Kansas City has to keep the same 5 on the ice. There's Luke Stevens. They show him on Flow Sports. He was just sent down from the AHL earlier today. He's got good size at 6'5" and 207 pounds. In fact, a lot of the Kansas City players are about 6'2" and taller. They've got one of the bigger teams the Grizzlies will face all season. Sekos will take the face-off against Hugo Waugh. Waugh pretty good on the face-off circle, but it's Utah that wins it this time. Left point, Martin with a shot that gets blocked and goes into the left corner. Kansas City gets blasted as the Mavericks will chip it out to center ice. Utah regathers it. We've been skating 5-on-5 this entire time. Left side, Grizzlies enter. Sekos outside the circle. Shot saved by Kelly. Kansas City will bounce it off the near boards. Utah kept it in. Grizz around the net. Sekos feeds the near side, but it couldn't be reached by Tardif. Now Kansas City crosses center ice. Dumping in is Pasquale Leberg, who's got 5 points in 4 games this season. As Nilsson gets hit in the corner. As action is in the Grizzlies zone now. Now Martin gets over to Colatarchio, spin it along the far boards, and it goes past Josh Elms and out of the zone. Goes all the way to Kansas City territory, where the arm is raised by the linesman, and Utah's called for icing. So it looks like Elms didn't get a piece of it, and action will come back to the Grizzlies zone. And, there's still no score. Utah scored first last night. In fact, the Grizzlies... they have scored first, I think, in 3 of the 5 games this season. Utah's 2-1 when scoring first, and 0-2 when the opposition scores first. As Zach Sekos will take the face-off, draw one by Kansas City. They'll take a shot, and that gets blocked, and goes out to center ice. Mavericks back in their own zone get it as they'll toss it to the right side. Puck bounced off the boards, and looks like it's going to be icing on Kansas City with 12:22 left in the first. We know there's a lot of sports and entertainment options out there. We appreciate you choosing the Grizzlies tonight as they take on the Mavericks in the second of a 3-game set. Make sure to follow the Grizzlies on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm on Twitter at Tyson on Sports. We'll talk with Guy Carenza during the first intermission, assuming we get the microphones picked up. But then again, we're worried about internet more than anything else tonight. As Kansas City wins the draw, skates over to the right side. Utah pokes it away. Good defensive effort by the Grizzlies. They've been solid to start. As Utah crosses center ice and dumps it in. And Kansas City to the far side has it. 8 minutes in. Mavericks will clear it out to center ice. Now Kansas City carries it into the zone. Will veer off to the right side. Grizzlies back defensively. Kansas City will wait in the near side for other members to join the play. Tyler Penner will spin it to the far side. Now back towards Dylan Fitz as he'll ricochet it off the far boards. Kansas City kept it in the offensive zone as they're in the left corner. Connor McDonald pushing Kansas City. Well, McDonald's an outstanding defenseman, especially in the corner. He wins that battle as Riz cleared out to center. Left wing dumping it in is Dylan Fitz. He's at the end of his shift, and he'll come off the ice. Utah gets 5 fresh skaters out there. 11:23 and counting left in the first. Still no score. Mavericks have it picked off at center ice. Utah dumps it back in. Mavericks will gather it. As shots have been hard to come by for either side here so far. As over to the right side, Grizzlies in the zone. Cutler in the corner as he's being shadowed by Howdeshell. Now Cutler to the right side. Gets it across to Nilsson. One-timer saved by Kelly. Nelson gets pushed along in the corner. 2-on-2 as Grizzlies. Can they win that 50-50 puck? Over to Cutler left side. He swings and misses on a one-timer. Now Pfizer in the slot. That one goes wide. Cutler in the near corner will bounce it up top for Nilsson. Nilsson over to Raby. Back to Nilsson. Oh, he gets blasted in the slot as he was trying to release the shot in the slot. Grizzlies. Nate Klerman. As he's on the left side, he fires it towards the net. It's picked off by Kansas City, and they clear it out to center. Klerman gets it back. He'll skate down the middle. Klerman with a righty shot. Saved by Kelly. Rebound goes to Kansas City as they'll bounce it off the near boards. And no icing as it rolls towards Garrett Metcalf as Kansas City averted dangers. The Grizzlies had some good looks over the last minute. A couple by Nate Klerman. Cutler had a good look as Utah back deep in their own zone, skating from right to left. Now they start the attack as Tardif back deep in his own zone. 10:08 left in the first. Utah wants to possess the puck, and you can tell they've been working on that in practice the last couple days as Utah gets over to the left side. Grizz feed it across. Utah entering with some momentum. Right side, Pfizer. I tried to chip it out in front. It glanced off a Maverick. Kansas City comes back the other way, 3-on-3. They step over the offensive line as Haldeshell around the boards. Behind Utah's net, McDonald will roll it along the far side. Utah crosses center out. They tried to find it to Tardif. That's picked off by Muck as he'll bounce it off the far side. Now Kansas City carries it out to center ice. 2-on-2. Mavericks chip a left wing pass as Kansas City battling over. Connor McDonald takes it away. Mavericks get it back and dump it in as McDonald over in the left corner gets it. 9:25 left in the first and counting. Still no score. We've had very few whistles, knock on wood, here early on. Well, I hope the shaking the table didn't disrupt the internet as Grizzlies still in their own zone. Get it out to neutral ice. They dump it all the way towards Dylan Kelly. The pass is incomplete at neutral ice and goes all the way down for an icing call. 9:11 is left in the first. We haven't had our first media timeout as of yet. As Theo Calvis being shown on the screen. He's been a solid defenseman for Kansas City. He's got a +2 rating and has 1 assist in 4 games. Grizzlies offensively being a little bit more methodical with their approach as they want to enter the offensive zone with momentum and see if they can find a way to generate some offense from that. Seems like the ice spacing has been pretty good, and the process has been good for Utah so far. Off the draw, Mavericks win the face-off. Left point shot is blocked away by Metcalf. Grizzlies cleared out to center. Kicks off at Theo Calvis and goes deep into the Mavericks zone. Calvis runs it down in the far corner. Kansas City skating from left to right, crosses center ice. 3-on-3. Mavericks to the high slot. Take a shot that goes wide. Penner runs after it. He'll feed it towards the near wing boards. Now the Grizzlies toss it across to the right side near the bench area. Utah steps in. Right point. Utah gets spun around but gets it to the corner. Kansas City skates over there as the Mavericks have the puck and they want to spread the ice themselves. 8:30 and counting left in the first. Still no score as the Mavericks will carry it out to center ice from the right wing. Pascal LeBerg gets double-teamed and dumps it into the corner. Clermont skates over there and he'll nudge it across to Pfizer. Taryn. Back to Clermont. He'll get it to neutral ice. Grizzlies have it at center. Dakota Raby on the right side stops at neutral ice near the bench. Tried to dump it in, but it didn't go all the way as Kansas City comes back the other way. Mavericks feed it over to the left side. Now they dump it back to the right off the boards. McKenna was looking for it. Utah chips it back off the boards. Now the Grizz 2-on-3 cross center. They'll get it ahead to Raby. Raby's along the near side trying to locate it. Kansas City knocks him down and throws it back the other way. Mavericks in the offensive zone. Left point. Kansas City. Nick Passageoff skates towards the left side, now towards the middle. Utah pokes it away. Grizz clear it out as it's off the screen and doesn't look like icing as we continue play. 7:38 left in the first, still no score. Grizz are up to 4 shots. Kansas City's taken 3. Utah at neutral ice. We'll get it over to Tardif. Cameron Wright was trying to reach for it, but it goes deep in the Mavericks zone. Mavericks have it as Kansas City will toss it to the right side. Off the boards. Mavericks drop it off. Right circle, McKenna shot. Saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to Utah. Grizz will clear it out to center ice. Has it bounced off a Utah skate. Now the Mavericks re-enter. Kansas City will stop in the corner. That's Hugo Waugh, and he gets it taken away. 7 minutes left in the first. Still no score. Utah gets it to center ice, and they dump it in. Mavericks chase after it, and they'll feed it over to the near side. Kansas City look to clear it out. It stays in at the left point. Utah tried to feed it to the corner. Kansas City picks that off as Waugh crosses center ice. He steps in 1-on-4. He'll throw it to the right side as Calvis will nudge it to the corner. Utah takes away, but it goes back to Calvis. I look to center it. Got poked away to the right circle. Calvis regathers as he'll skate towards the right point. Feeds it back to the corner. Utah picks that off. They clear it out to center. Calvis with a left wing pass, and Kansas City's able to nudge it in. Metcalf behind his net. They'll feed it towards the near wing boards as Fitz will tap it off the glass. Goes to center ice. Mavericks with it back. Kansas City, McKenna will dump it back in. Utah tries to get it back towards Fitz at the Utah line. Kansas City picks it off. They'll skate over to the right side looking for a centering pass. Utah dives on the centering pass to deny it. Good job by Cameron Wright. Over to the right side as Fitz delivers a hit. Kansas City feeds it back to the point. It goes over the stick of Jordan Sambrook. And Utah will carry it into the offensive zone. Drop it off for Penner. Left side, he'll spin it around the boards. Fitz skates over there as he collides with a Maverick. Kansas City will nudge it ahead, and they'll carry it out to center ice as the Mavericks dump it in. Less than 6 minutes left in the first period. Still no score. Both teams have taken 4 shots. Grizz, Victor Bartley over to McDonald. He crosses center ice, skates down the middle. He'll dump it into the left corner. McDonald runs after it. He gets his own passes. He gets pinned by Kansas City along the boards. Cutler over there as well as the Mavericks come out of the pile with the puck as Kansas City will toss it ahead. They cross center ice from the right wing and dump it in. And Utah in the corner collides with Kansas City with a little bit more than 5 minutes left in the period. Mavericks right side, shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to Pfizer. Terran with Cutler nearby. They get it to Cutler, and he'll feed it to Raby. He's down the middle. Raby crosses the middle down to the slot as he'll try to get over to Pfizer. Kansas City picks it off, and the whistle blows. It looks like Utah's called for offside. 5 minutes are left in the first period. There's a timeout, and we'll take one as well. No score ever over at Cable Dahmer Arena on the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
If you're out driving and something happens to your car, truck, or even wheelchair, and you end up stuck at a rail crossing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Here's what you do. Get out if you can and look for this blue sign on the metal pole. Call the number on the blue sign, and when they answer, tell them the crossing number. The number is right here. This tells them the exact location of the crossing. This is the fastest way to get trains stopped before coming through the crossing. Look for the blue. It helps you.
Grizzlies hockey all season long brought to you by Utah Operation Lifesaver. See tracks, think train. Grizzlies hockey also brought to you by Rio Tinto and by Mountain Land Supply Company. Well, both teams have taken 4 shots. There hasn't been a single power play each side. Klerman, Sekos, Raby, and Nilsson have Utah's shots. For Kansas City, Passagov, McKenna, Jaremko, and Hugo Waugh have their shots. Dylan Kelly has stopped all 4 for Kansas City, and Garrett Metcalf in his first start, the regular season start since March 12th, he has stopped all 4. Remember, Garrett played one of the preseason games, the one over in Ogden at the ice sheet a couple weeks ago. Idaho ended up winning that game, but Garrett was able to at least break off some of the rust. And good to see him back in a Grizzlies uniform wearing number 39. Neutral zone draw, Jeremy McKenna and Dakota Raby on the ice. McKenna for Kansas City. He's got 3 goals and 3 assists in 4 games and has a +2 rating. Utah wins the draw as Colatarchi crosses center ice and he'll dump it in. Utah racing after it. 4:50 is left in the first and counting. Action is in the Kansas City zone in the near corner. Mavericks will nudge it up ahead, but Utah keeps it in the offensive zone. As over in the corner, couldn't handle the pass was Utah, and that was Cutler. Now 1-on-3. Kansas City, left side, as they'll fire a shot. I got redirected by a stick, and Garrett was able to catch it, and almost looked like he leaped in the air to make that catch. McKenna was in the area cutting towards the net. 4:31 left in the first. There's another timeout. Still no score on the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Rio Tinto.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club.
Maverick's new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
It's kind of interesting to see shots being at a premium. Both teams just 4 shots so far. 4:31 left in the first period. You can see a little bit more of a patient approach from each side's offenses. For Utah, you think about offensively, they're 15th in the 28-team league in shots per game at 30.40. They're also in the middle of the pack in shots allowed per game. They're 14th in the 28-team league at allowing 29.20 shots per contest. On Tuesday night, Utah outshot Kansas City 34-29, but it was the Mavericks that got a 3-2 victory. No score here. Utah wins the faceoff. They're in their own zone as Victor Bartley will nudge it ahead out to center ice. And racing after it's Tyler Penner. No icing as Penner gets blasted along the end wall by Josh Elms as the Mavericks skate from left to right here in the first period. Right side, Utah with a shot. That gets blocked as the Grizz will backhand it towards the net. And it hits off the end wall. Rolls towards the near corner as Fitz feeds up top for Bartley. Now to McDonald. He tried to find a cutter in the slot and couldn't handle it as Kansas City comes back the other way. Mavericks 2-on-3. Left side shot. Saved by Metcalf. And Garrett holds on, kind of bobbled it for a second, but he was able to corral it as Kansas City's Jeremy McKenna had a good look from the left side, but Metcalf makes his 5th save of the game. Draw is going to be in the Grizzlies zone, And guess what? We got another time out on the ice. We're back in 30 seconds on the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Mountain Land Supply Company. First intermission, we'll talk with Guy Carenza here in the studios at Maverick Center. We'll probably have to talk for him for quite a bit because there hasn't been a whole lot that's happened outside of 5 shots for Kansas City and 4 for Utah. Neither team's had a power play so far. We'll also go over some of the scores from around the world of sports. We're back to live action. 3:42 and counting left in the first. Mavericks in their own zone, skating from left to right as they carry it out to neutral ice. And they'll nudge it ahead. Kansas City steps over the offensive line, skates towards the corner, stops, feeds it back up top. Passage off, over to the right side, all wide open. Sandbrook, he'll take a righty shot. That one goes wide. Metcalf might have gotten a piece of it. Now it goes back over to the right side. Sandbrook with a shot, and that one got a piece of a Grizzly, and Utah's able to clear it out to center. Now it glides into the Maverick zone. Utah makes a full line changes. There's no icing on the play as Kansas City will feed it over to the right side. Mavericks enter the zone with speed. They'll skate towards the right side around Martin, looking for a wraparound shot saved by Metcalf. Now Utah crosses center ice. Grizz enter the zone. Raby tries to feed it to Sekos, who was cutting towards the net. Kansas City picks it off. Now right point shot saved by Kelly as that one was taken over on the right side. I think that might have been Klerman. Kelly makes the save with 2:50 left in the first. Draw's going to be back in the Kansas City zone. As we've had ourselves an interesting game so far in terms of who's going to break free. Seems like a very evenly played first period. Both teams are getting some looks that they want. It's kind of hard to really tell who's got the edge right now, as we're scoreless over at Independence, Missouri. And now the Grizz win the face-off, and they try to get it to Martin, but it stays on the right side. Tardif will backhand it into the corner. Sekos in the area. He delivers a hit as the Mavericks feed it along the far side, and they'll nudge it across and out of the zone off the near boards as Wright feeds it across near Utah's bench. Utah will back it out into their own zone. McDonald feeds it across to Martin. Now back to Kolatarchi. Now to the left side. Grizzlies looking for Sekos at neutral ice. That pass didn't connect, and icing is on the Grizzlies with 2:19 left in the first. Well, you wonder if the Grizzlies are overthinking things offensively. As you know, they want to be a little bit patient with their approach. They're doing a good job spreading the ice. But how are they going to find a way to break free? As Kansas City's doing a pretty good job defensively, closing up passing lanes and keeping everything towards the perimeter. Tommy Muck on the ice. He was listed as an assistant captain for Kansas City. Yesterday, Nick Passagov was named the Kansas City captain. The alternate captains are Loren Ullette, Tommy Muck, and Josh Lamon. As a drop in Grizzlies territory is won by Utah. Connor McDonald overskated it. Now Muck on the right side will take a lefty shot. And that one gets blocked out in front of Metcalf as Grizz. Over to the near side. We'll feed it to center ice. It bounced off the stick of Cameron Wright. Goes back over as the Mavericks to the left side skate towards the circle. They'll take a shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to the right corner as the Maverick goes heels overhead. And no call there as Muck to the right side will feed it towards the corner. Goes around the boards. Back to the left side. Utah delivers a hit as Utah gets tripped up. No call there. We've been 5-on-5 this entire time. Now puck rolls around the boards towards the near side. Over on the right. Kansas City feeds to the right circle. Shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound shot. Save and it hits the side of the net. Not officially a save though. As the left side. Grizzlies in the corner, trying to locate it as they get it back towards Sekos, and he'll bounce it off the glass, and it goes out towards the Mavericks zone. Utah makes a quick line change. Kansas City does as well. Mavericks in their own corner in the far side, skate from left to right. Kansas City out towards center ice, and the pass is picked off by Utah as the Grizz will feed it back to a defenseman. McDonald across to Bartley. Victor will get it ahead. Tough pass is handled by Pfizer over to Raby, but everybody stopped skating with 59 seconds left as it looks like the Grizzlies are offside. Well, that's kind of a tough break because if Raby would have skated down the left side without that whistle, Who knows? Maybe that could have been Utah's best chance of the first period. But the draw comes back to neutral ice. Kansas City's taken 9 shots, and the Grizzlies have taken 5. Draw near the Kansas City bench, and it's won by the Mavericks. As Calvis will feed it to the far side. Now Kansas City into Grizzlies territory as they dump it in towards Metcalf, taken by Bartley as he delivers a hit. Now Kansas City out in front, backhand shot, and they score. I think that's Theo Calvis out there. He was on the ice. I can't see who got the goal, but Kansas City has taken a 1-0 lead. Skating to the bench first. Is that the new captain? It is. Nick Passageov was elected as team captain yesterday, and he scores his 4th of the year with 46.7 seconds left in the first. They'll show a replay on Flow Sports as the Mavericks at center ice dumped it in onto Metcalf. Bartley to the left side, got it poked away by LeBerg. Then McKenna fed it out in front to Passageov, and Passageov, he had a grade A chance out in front and just fired a backhand shot that kind of snuck past the ankles of Metcalf, and that's how the Mavericks took a 1-0 lead. 40 seconds left in the first. Kansas City's up by 1. Second straight game where the Mavericks have scored in the final minute of the first period. 33 seconds left. Mavericks deep in their own zone as Kansas City's outshot Utah 10-5. As at neutral ice near the Kansas City bench, Grizzlies battling. And 2-on-2. Mavericks come out of that pile with the puck as they'll feed it across. Calvis will nudge it ahead as Jeremko feeds it across. Now to center ice, left wing. Mavericks dump it in as it bounces off the end wall. Nilsson feeds it across with 8 seconds left in the period. Pfizer nearby. So is Fitz. And over in the corner, Kansas City held up by Bryson Martin. And that will do it for 20 minutes over at Cable Dahmer Arena as they got on the board in the final minute. Nick Passageov, the new captain, made it 1-0. The assist on the play goes to Jeremy McKenna, and we'll see who ends up getting the other assists. The Mavericks should have 2 assists on that particular play as they lead 1-0, and we'll come back and recap the first period. We'll go over some scores from around the world of sports, and we'll talk with Guy Carenza here in the studios and get his thoughts on really outside of the goal. It seemed like a pretty evenly played first period, but Kansas City leads 1-0 after 1. We're back after this on the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Rio Tinto.
If you're out driving and something happens to your car, truck, or even wheelchair, and you end up stuck at a rail crossing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Here's what you do. Get out if you can and look for this blue sign on the metal pole. Call the number on the blue sign, and when they answer, tell them the crossing number. The number is right here. This tells them the exact location of the crossing. This is the fastest way to get trains stopped before coming through the crossing. Look for the blue. It helps you.
First intermission over at Cable Dahmer Arena as the Mavericks lead the Grizzlies 1-0. I'm Tyson Whiting. We'll get to some scores from around the world of sports, including the ECHL here shortly. Nick Passageov scored 19-13 into the first period. Jeremy McKenna with the assist. Kansas City outshot Utah 11-5 in the first period. We had some technical difficulties the first couple minutes. Hopefully everything got straightened out after that. And really from the Grizzlies' perspective, you kind of saw an interesting approach offensively as they looked like they were pretty patient, spending a lot of time in their own zone and just seeing if they can spread the ice and utilize their speed. They were able to generate 5 shots, including, I think, 1 or 2 really good looks on Dylan Kelly, the Kansas City goaltender. I think Klarman from the slot had one of Utah's best attempts. 5 different Grizzlies had 1 shot in that first period. McDonald's, I think, if I remember right, was from the right point. Klarman was in the slot, and he was wide open. He had a pretty good look. Sekos, Raby, and Nilsson also have 1 shot on goal. I remember Raby's look being pretty good as it was out in front, but just couldn't find a way to get it past Dylan Kelly. For Kansas City, Nick Passageov, who scored the goal with 47 seconds left in the period, leads the way with 3 shots. Hugo Waugh had 2 shots, and then 6 other Mavericks with 1 shot on goal. Dylan Kelly, who really struggled in his only outing up until tonight, he stopped all 5 he saw. Garrett Metcalf saved 10 of 11 for the Grizzlies. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second period. Utah outscored Kansas City 1-0 in the second period on Tuesday night And that's where Taryn Pfizer scored 10:46 in. Boy, could Taryn Pfizer find a way to light the lamp once again? I think Utah's top forward line did some good things. Raby, Cutler, and Pfizer. Well, it's just a matter of time, whether it's Raby's speed or Cutler getting into one of the circles, or really even Pfizer, who's pretty creative offensively. Can either of those guys find a way to generate something offensively? I think it'd be interesting to see if Ben Tardif can get going. He doesn't have a goal so far this season. He had 20 for the Grizzlies last year, and he was averaging more than a point a game, 59 points. And, the playoff run he was outstanding as well. Can Ben Tardif find a way to light the lamp? He had 59 points in 53 games last season. No penalties in the first period. The frame had quite a good flow to it, knock on wood, as it was the type of game where we had very few whistles. In fact, that's why we didn't have our first media timeout till there was less than 6 minutes left in the first period, because we had very few whistles, and some of the ones we did have were icing calls, which meant that you weren't going to get a media timeout on those. So I really liked the pace of the first period, and it was one of those that was fast and really it was tough to describe because the puck was just going back and forth so much, and because we had the technical difficulties early on, I had a really tough time getting into a rhythm. So we better, be patient with us, as these remote broadcasts sometimes can be pretty tough to handle on occasion, but we're just having some fun on a Friday night as the Grizzlies look to end a 2-game losing skid here in Game 2 of the 3-game set against the Kansas City Mavericks. Other action in the league, second intermission, Atlanta leads Orlando 3-0. Also after 2 periods, Indy leads Iowa 4-1. Iowa is 0-5 on the season. Indy is 3-1. Late second period, Toledo and Kalamazoo are tied at 2. Second intermission, Wheeling and Reading. Wheeling leads Reading 2-1. Wheeling is 1-3 on the season. Reading is 1-3-1. Late second period, Adirondack and the Trois Rivières Lions are tied at 1. Second intermission, Savannah and Greenville are tied at 2. 5 minutes to go in the second period, Newfoundland and Maine are tied at 1. 13 minutes left in the second period. The defending champion Florida Everblades lead Jacksonville 1-0. There's a couple guys there on the Kansas City roster this season that played for Florida last year. Jake McLaughlin was one of Florida's best defensemen last season. He's currently on the Kansas City roster. In fact, McLaughlin, who looked pretty impressive on Tuesday night, he's got 2 assists in 4 games this year. He had 33 points in 49 games. He appeared in 6 playoff games for the Everblades. Josh Lamon played with Florida back in the 2018-2019 season. That's when current Kansas City head coach Tad O'Had was an assistant with the Everblades. And you think about the connection with the Florida Everblades, Jake Jaremko had 9 playoff points in 16 playoff games for Florida. And so the connection there with Florida, Theo Calvis, he was with the Everblades in the 2019-2020 season. As we mentioned, Tad O'Had, before being with Kansas City, spent some time with the Florida Everblades. In fact, there's Tad O'Had right there on Flow Sports, talking with the Kansas City media after 1 period. Or maybe that was before the game. I'm not sure, as Kansas City elected team captains yesterday. We'll get to some NHL scores here a little bit later on, but when we come back to the Grizzlies Intermission Report, which is presented by Siegfried and Jensen, we'll talk with Guy Karenza and get his thoughts on this first period. Kansas City leads Utah 1-0. You're listening to the Grizzlies Hockey Network. Intermission Report brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen. There were 2 NHL games tonight. Earlier this afternoon in Finland, the Colorado Avalanche defeated the Columbus Blue Jackets 6-3. After 2 periods, Carolina leads Buffalo 3-2. We had some internet issues early on, but luckily we were able to get them hopefully solved, as I pretty much missed the first 2 minutes of play, as we're joined by Guy Karenza And, Guy, I think it's kind of funny as, we're kind of learning the ropes together. It's kind of funny how everything looks perfect for 2 hours before the game. Internet looks great. And then right before opening face-off, we have one glitch after another. But luckily, we're able to get it solved so we can be able to watch this first period. And I think it's kind of interesting that a team like the Grizzlies, who are having some issues offensively, were only able to generate 5 shots against the Kansas City club in the first period.
Yeah, well, and it's funny, Tyson, because it looked like for a while there that the most eventful part of the first period was our internet issues. There wasn't a whole lot going on for a while, and then Kansas City was able to sneak in that goal in the last minute. But, I thought the Grizzlies did pretty well defensively for the most part in that period, aside from the final minute lapse. And I also liked Garrett Metcalf's play so far. I think he's looked very solid in his season debut, stopping 10 of 11.
Now, Kansas City and their 3 goals on Tuesday night, they're all out in front of the net. Tonight, the goal was out in front of the net as the Mavericks were able to get in the offensive zone. Looked like somebody took it away from Bartley, and then McKenna centered it over to Passagov, the new Kansas City captain, and he scored that goal from right out in front. Almost like he didn't even have to put much of a shot in it. He just kind of nudged it in as the pass was so good. I think that's the thing the Grizzlies probably need to do here in the final 40 minutes. You talk about Kansas City getting those pucks in there. I think the difference really is Utah hasn't been able to get some pucks in there on their offensive side.
Yeah, you're right. And Kansas City's not afraid to get down and dirty and get pucks inside the paint. They're throwing things in the middle, and they're getting good chances, and they're getting good bounces, and they're getting a lot of luck. So I think the Grizzlies need to just copy their strategy, honestly. I mean, a lot of their shots are from the perimeter. Throw some pucks into the paint, get some guys to drive to the crease, and see if you can get one home.
Who's going to get that first goal for Utah? I feel like Raby's had a pretty good first period, both offensively and defensively. Klerman had a good look up top. What do you think's getting that first goal for Utah?
Ideally you would want guys like Brandon Cutler and Ben Tardif to get it rolling for Utah and, kind of start generating offense. But I think tonight it's going to be another one of those depth players. I like your thinking. I'm going with Dakota Raby. Raby
might be the guy. He's on the top forward line this evening. Guy, will talk to you during the second intermission.
All right, thank you, Tyson.
That's Guy Carenza. When we come back, we'll have second period action over at Cable Dahmer Arena as Kansas City leads 1-0 as Nick Passagov scored 19-13 into the first period with Jeremy McKenna getting the assist. You're listening to the Siegfried and Jensen Intermission Report on the Utah Grizzlies Hockey Network.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account today.
Now we're about set to start the second period of play here shortly as Kansas City doubled up Utah on the shot count. The ECHL app has it listed as 11-5 in favor of Kansas City, but the graphic on Flow Sports says 10-5 edge for Kansas City as the Mavericks had 3 shots from Nick Passagov, their new captain. He was elected that yesterday. Hugo Waugh with 2 shots and then 6 other Mavericks with 1 shot. 5 different Grizzlies had 1 shot on goal. Connor McDonald, Nate Klerman, Zach Sekos, Dakota Raby, and Andrew Nilsson. It's kind of interesting to note that 3 of Utah's 5 shots were by defensemen. So only 2 shots on goal in the first period were by Grizzlies forwards. And it's no secret if you've been watching Grizzlies games here so far this season that unfortunately during this road trip, the Grizzlies have had a tough time generating some offense. They had 2 goals last Friday in Idaho. Now, Utah did get a 2-1 victory behind Lucas Preek's 38-save performance. Pfizer picked up a goal earlier on in that game, and then Cameron Wright scored an empty net tally. So one of Utah's 2 goals that evening was on an empty net. And then last Saturday, October 29th, Idaho, in the second game of that series, got a 23-save shutout from Jake Kupski. Now, you think about the third period on Tuesday night, and I've been thinking about that for about the last 3 days because the Grizzlies in the third period had 21 shots on Kansas City. Shane Sterrett, who's now in the AHL, he was in net for Kansas City that night. Grizzlies had 5.5 power plays in that third period alone, but just couldn't find a way to get one past Shane Sterrett. And it's kind of interesting when you think about a sport like hockey. You can look good offensively. The process can be there, and you just simply don't find the back of the net for one reason or another. Utah had their chances. I kept going back thinking about how many of those were grade A looks that the Grizzlies had in that third period. They just couldn't find a way to generate anything. You think about the 5 shots tonight. Think back to Tuesday. The Grizz only had 5 shots in the second period. On Tuesday night, they were outshot by the Mavericks 11-5. However, Taryn Fizer in the second period on Tuesday scored the only goal either side, and that gave Utah a 2-1 lead after 40 minutes. So, just because they only had 5 shots in the first, I'm really interested in seeing what kind of adjustments Ryan Kanasowicz and Jared Pike, his assistant, makes to see if they can generate some shots and see if they can generate some offense. It was a very patient approach by the Grizzlies. Looked like Kansas City, their strategy defensively, focus everything into the corner, really looked like Kansas City put a strong focus on defending the neutral zone and not letting the Grizzlies enter the attack zone with momentum. I think at the Grizzlies, as they did, it seemed like when my internet was buffering the first couple minutes of play, when they were entering the attack zone with, it seemed like there was a couple times when they entered the attack zone with a little bit of momentum. So can that happen here in the second period as Utah is looking to find a way to tie things up? Looks like the second period will begin in about 4 minutes and 45 seconds of real time as Utah looks to find a way to put a deadlock to this one, as right now they trail Kansas City by a 1-0 score. We'll go over some college football scores tomorrow in Game 3 of the 3-game set, as Utah hoping that that's the rubber match as they want to find a way to take a lead here in the second period and cruise to victory. It's interesting that Garrett Metcalf, that he's in net. Lucas Preek is not dressed for Utah, and the backup to Garrett tonight is Mario Vrab. V-R-A-B is how he spells his last name. He's the local emergency backup in the Kansas City area, and so he's backing up Garrett Metcalf tonight. Dylan Kelly started for Kansas City. He stopped all 5 he saw in the first period. Riley Morris, who was just signed yesterday, he is the backup for Kansas City, as Shane Sterrett is now in the AHL with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Well, take one final timeout and come back and have second period action as Kansas City leads 1-0 on the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Siegfried and Jensen. It's been a pretty evenly played season series between the Grizzlies and Mavericks. If you think back to the last 5 years, in fact, the last 5+ seasons, these teams have met 35 times. Utah has won 17 of them. Kansas City has won 18. In the last 17 meetings at Cable Dahmer Arena over in Kansas City, Utah's 8-1. So maybe that's a sign of things to come. Utah evens things up in the season series over the last 5+ seasons. And Utah, who went 6-3 against Kansas City last year, and we'll see if they find a way to even up the series. Right now, Kansas City leads 1-0. It's kind of interesting to see no penalties either side in the first period. Kansas City, through 2 periods on Tuesday night, looked to be pretty disciplined. Then they took a penalty with 1 minute left in the second period, and then the Grizzlies had the power play for the first minute of the third period. And then Kansas City ended up with 5 separate penalties in the third period. Now, remember last season, the Mavericks led the league in penalty minutes, and when the Grizzlies played them in March, they were able to take advantage of those Kansas City penalties, turning those power plays into goals. And I'm kind of curious, how's the officiating going to be in the final 2 periods? Are we going to start to see some power plays either side? And if they do, is there any sort of adjustments that Utah makes on the power play? As through 5 games, they are 2 for 27 on the power play, but Kansas City, their power play through 4 games, as this is their 5th game of the season, they are 31.3%. So it'll be interesting to see if we do see some special teams in the final 2 periods, what will happen there. Let's get to some player trends as we'll get set to start the second period of play shortly. Watch out for Cameron Wright. He didn't get a shot in the first period, but Wright leads the team with 21 shots on goal this season. He scored his first pro goal on an empty net last Friday in Idaho. Andrew Nelson, watch out for him. He's got 3 assists in his last 4 games coming into play tonight. Ben Tardif had an assist in each of his first 3 games of the year. He's scoreless through 2 games and 1 period of a third. We'll see if Ben Tardif gets on the stat sheet here in the second period. Zach Sekos got off to a pretty quick start in that first homestand against Rapid City as he scored a goal in each of his first 2 games. He has been goalless since, and Taryn Fizer's really been the constant. Fizer in the first period didn't have a shot, only 2 shots by Grizzlies forwards in that first period, but Fizer has a goal in 4 of his 5 games, and the only game that he didn't score was when the Grizzlies were shut out 4-0 6 days ago against the Idaho Steelheads. Well, it looks like we're about set for second period action. The Grizzlies in the black jerseys with white numbers, white lettering, and professional green trim. A little bit of white on the elbows as well, taking on Kansas City, who's got a white jersey with the shoulders, and the middle of the jersey is orange with white numbers and a little bit of white on the bottom of the jersey tops, and black shorts with orange stripes on the side, as Kansas City does like to go with navy blue, orange, and white as their colors, although it looks like they're starting to phase out the navy blue look. As 20 minutes are on the clock, Cutler will be out there along with Raby and Fizer. Bartley and McDonald are the 2 defensemen. Hugo Waugh will take the face-off for Kansas City. He takes a lot of the big draws for the Mavericks. Tristan Mullen out there as well. Mullen had 1 goal and 1 assist on Tuesday night. Kansas City wins the face-off. They'll skate towards the Grizzlies bench. Out towards center ice, Fizer picks it off. He'll dump it in. Cutler races after it as Kansas City around the net, and puck still in play as they'll get it out to neutral ice and off the screen as the Mavericks skate into the left side as Kansas City will skate in. Mullen with a shot that goes wide. Puck rolls around the right wing boards. As they try to spin it around, Utah cuts it off. Grizz get it out to center ice, 2-on-3. At center ice left wing, Grizz dump it in as Dylan Kelly will stop it behind his net. And he'll give way as the Mavericks start the attack. Left wing pass, Kansas City connects, and they'll skate towards the circle. Now McKenna, he'll take a shot. Saved by Metcalf, and Garrett holds on as it looked like McKenna tried to go top shelf on Metcalf, and Garrett was able to make a glove save. As the first shot by either side was Jeremy McKenna, 49 seconds into the second period. Metcalf got a whistle, and the draw is going to be in the Grizzlies zone in the left circle. Taking it for Kansas City is Nick Passagov, who scored with 47 seconds left in the first period. That's the only goal of the game so far. Utah wins the draw. Nilsson feeds it to the corner to Sekos. It's cut off by McKenna. McKenna behind the net, trying to get it back to Passagov. Utah pokes it away. Now slot backhand shot saved by Metcalf as Utah turned it over. Grizz along the far boards as they're still in their own zone. Sekos will feed it across to McDonald. Back to Sekos. As he'll nudge it ahead to Cameron Wright. Right wing will dump it into the left corner. Grizz chase after it. Puck ends up flying towards the slot. Wright with a shot that goes wide and rolls along the near boards. Kansas City will throw a right wing pass. They enter 4-on-4. Now the Mavericks, they try to center it, and they fanned on an attempt by McLaughlin. Grizzlies come back the other way. Skating down the middle's Tardif. He tries to split a double team. He'll throw it into the corner on the left side. Now Utah behind the net tried to get it to Tardif out in front. It kicks off the stick and goes towards the left corner once again. Utah throws it up top. Bryson Martin with a lefty shot. Glove saved by Kelly. Puck still in play. Rebound as Utah looking for a second chance. It goes off the right wing boards. Wright will toss it ahead. Tardif will skate towards his left. He'll get it back to Wright. He'll take a shot and he scores! Grizzlies get on the board as Cameron Wright fired away from the left side. There was 2 sticks in the way at neutralized. Did it get redirected? Well, either way, the Grizzlies have tied it up. 2:03 into the second. They show a replay on Flow Sports. Wright took the shot. And it was tough to tell if Penner got a stick in the way or if it's going to be Cameron Wright's second of the year. As Utah's tied it up as they score early on here in the second period. If it's Cameron Wright, it's his second of the year. If it got redirected, it could be Penner's first. We'll see how they score it as the draws at center ice taken by Kansas City. Utah has outscored Kansas City 2-0 in the second period so far in this series. Kansas City skates into the left side. Left point. Shot saved by Metcalf. That was taken by Keegan Howdeshell. Josh Lamman was in the area as well. As Utah gets on the board, we'll give you the details of the goal when we find them on the ECHL app. As the draw is going to be in the Grizzlies zone as Lamon and Howdeshell talk things over. Both guys are pretty dangerous offensive weapons. You can always count on good forward play with Kansas City year in and year out. But it looks like they do have better goaltending this season than they had in years past. As off the draw, Kansas City in the slot, they fire a shot that goes wide. Now to the near side. Mavericks towards the left circle. They feed it back up top. Lefty shot, and that gets blocked about 10 feet in front of Metcalf. Grizzlies will carry it out to center ice. Utah doesn't have numbers, so they'll just dump it into the right corner. And the Mavericks off the near wall, battling with Fitz and Penner's in the area. Now the Mavericks will skate towards their own corner. Now behind their net as they'll spread the ice. As Kansas City over to the right will cut to center ice. Nate Konopke, who played at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. He didn't play on Tuesday night. Mavericks throw a long-range pass, and that's incomplete. And icing is on the Mavericks. 17:02 left in the second period. The details of the goal. Looks like Tyler Penner redirected the Cameron Wright shot as Penner is credited with the goal. 2:02 in. Tyler had 13 goals in 72 games last year in the regular season. Tardif and Wright with the assists. So that means that Ben Tardif's got an assist in 4 of his 6 games. And for Cameron Wright, he picks up his 3rd professional assist. Wright's got 1 goal and 3 assists. And this is 6th game of the season. Draw in the left circle. Grizzlies win it. They're in the attack zone. Over to the right point. They've tried to feed it to Bartley, but the pass is wide. And Kansas City over in the left corner, skating from right to left as they'll get it out to center ice. Utah gets it back as Martin will nudge it ahead. Utah will get it to Pfizer. Pfizer will drop it off for Raby. He looks to center it, and that one goes wide as he was trying to find Cutler cutting in front. Now Cutler, left side, as he'll skate towards a circle. He'll look for it out in front for Pfizer. Kansas City picks it off. Raby gets it back, as he'll throw it to the left corner. Pfizer in the area as he gets hit. Cutler skates over back towards the corner. Now left circle, shot. That one gets blocked out in front and deflects out of play. Good shift by the Grizzlies' top forward line tonight as Cutler working it around with Pfizer and Dakota Raby. 16:20 left in the second. We're tied at 1 as Tyler Penner redirected a Cameron Wright shot. 2:02 into the second period. Grizzlies talking things over. Make sure to follow the Grizzlies on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as TikTok. I'm on Twitter at Tyson on Sports. Zach Sekos on the ice. He'll take the face-off against Jake Jaremko. Cameron Wright on the right side. He picked up an assist on Utah's goal tonight. He's got 3 this season. Right over to Sekos. Slot shot. Saved by Kelly. And he holds on. That was a good look by Zach Sekos, who was in the high slot. Fired a one-timer. Kelly makes the save without a rebound as we get another whistle. 16:14 left in the second. Utah's up to 2 shots, or 3 shots now in the second period. One's a goal, and Sekos had a grade A chance from the high slot. Sekos will take the draw, right to his left, and Tardif to his right. Passage-off will take the face-off for Kansas City. As the draw won by Utah, Tardif skates towards the left corner. Gets over to Wright. Wright battling with Pastajov as Wright gets on one knee, keeps his balance. Right around the net as he'll feed it up top for Connor McDonald. Connor skates towards his left, gets it to Bartley. Slot shot, that one goes wide. Utah towards the side of the net. Looks for McDonald. Kansas City skates over to pick it off. Now Sekos gets it over to Tardif. He'll take a shot and he scores! Ben Tardif gets his first of the year as he found a pass from Zach Sekos, who was hanging down the middle. And the Grizzlies have taken a 2-1 lead. It was Sekos to the right side for Tardif, and it was a one-timer from the right circle that went over the right shoulder of Dylan Kelly. So we were wondering about when Ben Tardif would get his first of the season, and it comes right there in Kansas City. 4:12 into the frame. Sekos will get an assist. That will be his first assist of the season. And there's going to be another assist. I couldn't tell who fed it to Sekos. But Utah's taking a 2-1 lead as they've scored both goals here in the first 4.5 minutes of the second period. As the Mavericks win the faceoff, they dump it into the offensive zone over to the right side. As the Mavericks skate towards a point and they get it to McLaughlin, he'll take a shot, saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to the right corner. As Kansas City will skate towards their left. They're now on the high slot as they'll skate in. Righty shot. Oh, that got redirected in the area for Utah was Johnny Walker. As Bryson Martin out there as well. Right corner. Kansas City battling as they'll skate out to the point. Now they'll throw it to Tommy Muck. Muck will take a lefty shot. That gets kicked about 5 feet in front of Metcalf and goes to the near side. As the Mavericks over near the corner, feed it up top for Muck. Muck will roll it around the boards. It's behind the net. Howdeshell battling with Penner as Klerman knocks down Howdeshell in the corner. Now Kolkoski tries to kick it out in front. It glanced off of Penner. Now the Grizzlies trying to clear it out. It stays in with Muck, their alternate captain. He throws it to the corner, but Martin picks it off. He'll get it to center ice. 2-on-3. Utah dumps it in as the forwards will get off the ice for a change. Puck is deep in the Kansas City zone. Utah to the left side will try to chip it to the middle to Connor McDonald, but it's picked off as Kansas City crosses center ice. They'll skate towards the corner as Cutler in the area. McDonald gets pushed from behind. Now back to Cutler. He's in his own corner. He'll feed a cross-ice pass to Tardif. Ben up ahead, blue line to blue line pass. Visor running it down in the left corner. And Kansas City comes out of it. They'll skate from right to left. Mavericks with good speed. Over to the right side, they'll step over the offensive line and dump it in. As the Mavericks will skate towards the goal line in Metcalf. Utah pokes it back to the corner. Now it's taken by McLaughlin. He'll throw a right wing shot that goes wide. Now the Mavericks to the left side look to center, and it's picked off as Fizer is in the area. Now taking it to Dakota Raby. He crosses center ice. He'll skate over to the left. Raby gains the offensive line. He'll throw it towards the left corner. Utah skates over there. And there's a lot of traffic out in front. Utah will pin it back towards the right wing boards. Mavericks come back up with his. They'll toss it off the boards. Now Fizer, right side, skates towards the corner. He'll take a righty shot. That one goes wide, and it rolls along the far side. Grizzlies trying to throw it to the corner. Kansas City picks it off. Mavericks cross center ice. Skating in is Sambrook. He'll stop before he gets to the near corner. Throw it up top. Lefty shot that goes wide and rolls along the far boards. Tardif runs after it, but Kansas City gets there first. Mavericks nudge it towards the center ice logo. Grizzlies will dump it in as Kansas City runs after it. And Josh Helms will feed it ahead. Pass connects. Kansas City towards the left side. They skate towards their offensive goal line. Theo Calvis will nudge it to the right corner as Klerman will toss it ahead. Now to center ice. Kansas City gets it back. And it looks like it's delayed offside in the Kansas City zone. Mavericks will touch it as they'll feed it to the near side. And we get a whistle. 12:47 is left in the second. Grizzlies lead 2-1 as Tyler Penner and Ben Tardif find the back of the net. We'll be back in 1 minute on the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
If you're out driving and something happens to your car, truck, or even wheelchair, and you end up stuck at a rail crossing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Here's what you do. Get out if you can and look for this blue sign on the metal pole. Call the number on the blue sign, and when they answer, tell them the crossing number. The number is right here. This tells them the exact location of the crossing. This is the fastest way to get trains stopped before coming through the crossing. Look for the blue. It helps.
Maverick's new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account today.
It's 2-1, 12:47 left in the second. Neutral zone draws one by Kansas City. They skate from right to left as they dump it into the left circle. Mavericks will try to feed it out in front, but Yolette kept the puck, so he didn't even throw the pass. He'll throw it over to the right side. Mavericks with a righty shot that bounces off the end wall. Mavericks get the rebound off the boards. They skate towards the point. Utah pokes it back out to center as Kansas City skates back into their own zone. Utah scored 2 unanswered here in the first segment of play of the second period, as they scored 2 goals in the first 4:12. Mavericks will dump it in. Arm is raised by the linesman. Icing is called on Kansas City. Grizz will have an offensive zone draw. Mavericks led 1-0 after 1 as Nick Passagov scored 19-13 in. McKenna and LeBerg with the assists. Tyler Penner got Utah on the board 2-0-2 in. His first of the season as he redirected a Cameron Wright shot Wright and Tardif with the assists. And that was Ben Tardif who lit the lamp from the right circle on a one-timer, 4-12 in. Sekos and Wright with the assists. So Cameron Wright with 2 assists and Tardif with 1 goal and 1 assist. Grizz win the drop, left side shot, and that one's blocked and deflected out of play. And we'll have the face-off back in the Kansas City zone. That last shot was taken by Taryn Pfizer. Utah had 5 shots in the first, and they've got 4 so far in the second. Kansas City, 11 shots in the first and 4 in the second period. Same teams tomorrow night for Game 3 of the series. The Grizzlies are hoping it's the rubber match, as Kansas City won on Tuesday night 3-2. As a draw taken by Cutler over in the left circle, it's won by Kansas City. They're deep in their own zone as they'll nudge over to the left point. Now the Mavericks skate out to center ice, 2-on-3. They'll skate in and lose the puck as it rolls towards Metcalf, and Garrett covers up. As Garrett in his first start of the season has stopped 14 of 15 so far. His last appearance for the Grizzlies in the regular season was against Kansas City, and that was on March 12th. He stopped 40 of 43 in that game. Ben Tardif scored 3 goals, and Tardif's had a great one here tonight with 1 goal and 1 assist here so far. As the draw won by Kansas City, they're in the offensive zone as they'll toss it to the left corner. Utah nearby, but it's to the left point. Mavericks with a shot, saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to Utah as Grizz skate from left to right. They'll feed it out to center ice as Utah will skate in. Brandon Cutler towards the right side. He'll dump it back to the corner. He'll get it back for Klerman. Nate in the corner. He's a great skater. He'll feed it up top for Cutler. Brandon skates towards his left, gets over to Klerman. Now Klerman, right point. He'll take a shot, and that one bounces high off the glass. Grizzlies skate around the net. They feed it to Klerman. He'll skate towards his left. He'll take a shot. That one goes wide. Pfizer around the net. He'll feed it up top. One-timer, and he scores! Andrew Nilsson gets his first of the year as he fired a one-timer from the slot. As Utah scored 3 unanswered here in the second period. They lead 3-1. Well, you talk about where's the offensive explosion? There it is. 3 goals in the first 9 minutes of this second period. Dakota Raby looked like he fed it to Klerman. Klerman took the shot that bounced off the boards, and Pfizer around the net. Was it Pfizer threw the pass to Nelson? It was, as Nelson was skating in from the high slot, got a one-timer from Pfizer, and Andrews scored 9 goals in half a season last year, has gotten his first of the season here. As Utah's scored 3 unanswered here in the second. Grizz win the face-off. They dump it into the left corner. It's Kansas City battling along the boards. Utah gathers it. And they try to feed it back to the left point, but nobody was there as it goes deep into the Grizzly zone. Utah skates after it. No icing on the play as Fitz is in the area. Utah gets knocked down. Kansas City on the right side skates towards a circle. They'll dump it off the end boards. McKenna's had a good game. He's being shadowed by Fitz. Now he throws it back deeper towards the corner. Now left side, Kansas City will toss it to the right. Mavericks will feed a shot. They got redirected, but Metcalf made a blocker save. Now Kansas City behind the net. They'll skate towards the left side. They'll get it back to the point, and they'll fire a shot. That gets blocked. That was taken by Konepke. As Utah crosses center ice from the left side, they gain the line. Utah's onside. Fitz with a shot. That goes wide, and it looks like it deflects out of play off the protective netting. 10:20 is left here in the second period, and Utah with 3 goals there in the second period. We're talking about where's the offense. Well, there's the offense right there. 5 shots in the first period, 5 shots here in the second. The only difference is Penner, Tardif, and Nilsson have found the back of the net. Pfizer and Klerman picked up the assist on the Nilsson goal. Time of that goal, 8:45 into the second period. It's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 1. Utah wins the offensive zone draw, left side shot. That goes wide and deflects off a stick and goes off the protective netting. Grizzlies will keep it in the offensive zone with the upcoming face-off as Kansas City talking things over. Josh Elms and Theo Calvis. You knew it was just a matter of time for the Grizzlies' top guns offensively to get rolling. And it was good to see Tyler Penner redirect that Cameron Wright shot and get himself on the board for this season. As the draw won by Kansas City, as they're back in their own zone, and they'll carry it out to center ice. Grizz get back defensively. Nudging it ahead, Josh Lamon dumps it in from the left wing. Metcalf behind his net gets it over to Raby. Raby's over in the corner as he'll toss it ahead towards Fitz. Now back to Tardif. Tardif skates around a Kansas City skater. He'll skate and he'll take a shot. Saved by Kelly as Kansas City comes up with the rebound. They'll get it ahead to Howdeshell. Left side. Mavericks dump it in. Howdeshell to the left circle. Take a shot. That goes wide. Metcalf might have gotten a piece of it. As it goes back across, Grizz feed it to the right side. Now to the circle. Utah skates in. Wright tries to feed it out in front. Shot. Oh, that one goes wide. But what a pass by Wright to Ben Tardif. As Tardif was looking for a second of the game, but the shot went wide. Kansas City steps over the offensive line. Skates towards the slot. Utah trips him up on. It's going to be a call. That's going to be the first penalty of the game. As Kansas City was skating down the middle, and Cole Koski tried to get around Bryson Martin. Martin tripped him up, and he'll go to the Rogers and Russell Legal Solutions holding cell. Bryson Martin, 2 minutes for tripping. 9:22 is left in the second period. We got a timeout. We're back in 30 seconds. It's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 1 on the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Rio Tinto.
If you're out driving and something happens to your car, truck, or even wheelchair, and you end up stuck at a rail crossing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Here's what you do. Get out if you can and look for this blue sign on the metal pole. Call the number on the blue sign, and when they answer, tell them the crossing number. The number is right here. This tells them the exact location of the crossing. This is the fastest way to get trains stopped before coming through the crossing. Look for the blue. It helps you.
Bryson Martin is in the Rogers and Russell Legal Solutions holding cell. 2 minutes for tripping. Time at penalty 10:38 in. Rogers and Russell Legal Solutions remind you that when life tries to put you in the penalty box, as Martin is in right now, it is important you have the best legal counsel in your corner. Call them up at 801-899-6064 and schedule your free consultation today. Rogers and Russell Legal Solutions, so you can rest and relax. Nick Passagel will take the face-off against Tyler Penner. Kansas City was 1 for 4 on the power play in last night's game. That was the game winner scored by Howdeshell with 1:58 in. Grizzlies lead 3-1. Kansas City up top as they'll feed it to the right side. And rolls to the corner. Grizz spin it around. Kansas City to the left side. Could they keep it in? And no, it's out to center ice. As McKenna will throw it back into his own zone as the Mavericks will try to spread the ice and re-enter the zone with some momentum. Less than 9 minutes left in the second period. It's Kansas City out to center ice. They'll skate into the left side and over to the corner as McLaughlin skates around the net. Tries to feed it out in front. Centering pass. Shot. Saved by Metcalf. Like Kansas City was able to get that centering pass out in front to Tristan Mullen, who had a goal on Tuesday night. But boy, Garrett Metcalf did a good job denying that. And the big thing is he didn't allow a second opportunity either. Good job by Garrett Metcalf, who so far has played a pretty good game. Tristan Mullen kind of had that look of, oh, I should have had it there. But he fired it right into Garrett's pads. And a good job by Metcalf to not allow a rebound. Tardif is on the ice as he's on one of the wings. 1:26 left in the Kansas City power play. 8:47 left in the second. And Bryson Martin is in the penalty box right now. 2 minutes for tripping. Mavericks win the draw as they'll feed it to the right side just outside the circle. Now to the far goal line. They tried to kick it out in front. It glanced off a pad of Metcalf and goes to the left corner. As Kansas City gets knocked down and McLaughlin gets pinned to the boards and make that Mullen, number 26. As Utah comes out of the pile with the puck. As Utah skates 2-on-3. As Tardif skates over to Sekos. Right side, he'll take a shot. Oh, that one goes wide. Remember, the Grizzlies led the league last season in shorthanded goals with 20. Kansas City crosses center ice. McLaughlin enters from the right side. As he'll spin it back around to the left corner. Clerman in the area. Nate's got 1 assist tonight. They'll feed it to his goal line. Now bouncing puck goes past Pfizer. Now to the near circle. Utah regathers it, and Clerman clears it all the way out. 35 seconds left in the power play for Kansas City. It's the first power play by either side here tonight as they'll spread the ice and get some new skaters. Utah gets 4 fresh ones out there as McLaughlin will feed it over to the right side. Mavericks cross center, and they'll dump it in. Cheremko in the corner spins it back off the glass. Pfizer gets it for Utah. He'll get it ahead to as he was back checked by Tommy Muck. Less than 10 seconds left in the Mavericks power play, but Utah probably has the 2 best chances of this man advantage, although Mullen had a pretty good look early in the Kansas City power play. Mavericks skate in from the right side. Utah takes it. Oh, it's going to be another penalty on Utah. As Utah Looked like they hit Kansas City from the right side as they were skating towards the middle. Now Tommy Muck, left side, will take a shot. Saved by Metcalf. Garrett holds on, but it looks like Kansas City's going to get another power play. As, like I mentioned, guy was skating in from the right side towards the middle, and Utah looked like they hooked him. So going to the penalty box, let's see, it's Victor Bartley. As he'll skate into the Rogers and Russell Legal Solutions holding cell. Second straight penalty by a Grizzlies defenseman here in the second period. 7:08 is left as Bartley, we didn't get to see the signal from the referee, but it kind of looked like a hooking type of penalty committed by Bartley. And Kansas City 0 for 1 on the power play, and they'll get another chance here as Bartley, I think it's hooking, but I'm not entirely sure. Kansas City's outshot Utah 20-11, but 3 second period goals by the Grizzlies. They lead 3-1. Mavericks win the draw as McLaughlin will feed it towards the near boards. Now back to McLaughlin. He'll get it to the right side. Kansas City gets over to the left. McKenna with a shot. Saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes towards the near side. Utah gets it, and clearing it out is Dylan Fitz. 6:51 left in the second, as looks like everybody stopped skating as I think the puck might have exited out of play. As Pascal LeBerg out there on the ice, he'll skate towards the bench. And this is a critical sequence for Kansas City, who have given up 3 goals. Oh, no. Metcalf is down on 2 knees. Colin Lee, the Grizzlies trainer, is looking after him. The backup tonight is an emergency backup named Victor Vrab, V-R-A-B. Metcalf is on 2 knees right now as Colin Lee, the Grizzlies trainer, is looking over him. Lucas Preek is not in uniform tonight. Boy, Colin Lee and everybody on the Grizzlies side is hoping that Garrett is okay. Like, Garrett's played an outstanding game so far, stopping 19 of 20. The injury was upper body that knocked Metcalf out of the out of play in the season last year. It was an upper body injury that he suffered. Looks like Colin Lee's looking more upper body on Metcalf here. And with the emergency backup situation, Garrett probably is going to have to gut it out. Looks like Garrett gets back to his feet. He takes his helmet off. And looked like he was saying, I don't know what happened. But he's going to have to play because the backup is an emergency backup. It's not Lucas Preek tonight. So you talk about the great goaltending depth that the Grizzlies have, and it's on full display. Trent Miner right now is in the AHL with the Colorado Eagles. Preek played on Tuesday night and stopped 26 of 29, but he's not dressed tonight. And looks like Colin has gone back to the Grizzlies bench. It looks like Garrett will be back in, and he'll stay in the game. Boy, that's a scary one considering the Grizzlies don't have any other options except for a local emergency backup who probably is a pretty good beer league goaltender, but I don't think we want to see him in a pro game. Mavericks win the face-off. They're still on the power play for the next minute, 36 and counting, as Kansas City will methodically cross center ice. Now they'll drop it off back in their own zone. Mavericks skating from right to left here in the second period. As Mavericks feed it over to the right side, they'll get bounced off the boards. Mavericks behind the net. They try to get it out in front. Kicked off of Fitz onto the right point. Mavericks feed it to the high slot. McLaughlin will get it towards LeBerg. Now he feeds it up top for McLaughlin. High slot, left wing pass, one-timer. And that one deflects wide. And it looked like it kicked off of Metcalf and went out of play. 6:14's left in the second. And Nick Passagov over there as well. The Kansas City captain, he'll skate towards his bench. So will Mullen. Mullen will come off the ice as Utah's up 3-1. Same teams tomorrow night for Game 3 of this 3-game set. And then the Grizzlies will be in Allen, Texas for a 3-game and 4-day set on November 9th, 11th, and 12th. Draws won by Kansas City, but the skater on the left point couldn't keep it in. That was Theo Calvis, so he'll have to run it down. Halfway through the Kansas City power play, and it's their second power play of the second period, they'll cross center ice. They'll throw it towards their bench area as they had a guy overskate it. And now the Mavericks will back it out into Grizzlies territory with the puck as Tommy Muck will skate back towards Dylan Kelly. Now Muck will start the attack. He'll skate down the middle. Now he'll feed it to the right side. Mavericks around the boards as it goes back towards the left point. Mavericks kick it back to the corner. They skate along the goal line from the near side. And Utah will bounce it to the left point. Muck gets it. He keeps it in. He'll skate towards his right. He'll feed it across. 20 seconds left in the power play. Kansas City gets to the far goal line. Now back up top for Muck. He'll skate towards his left. He'll feed it back to the right side. As the Mavericks, Dremko with a shot. That goes wide. Now it's kicked by Howdeshell. He's to the left side in the corner. As there's 5 seconds left in the power play, Howdeshell tried to feed it to the point. Utah picked it off. Grizz cross center, and Sekos will dump it in. We're back to 5-on-5 skating. Utah's 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. Grizz lead 3-1. 5 minutes and counting left in the second. As Kansas City will cross center ice as Nick Konopke gets it poked away back to the Kansas City blue line. Mavericks will kick it off the near boards. Utah pokes it away. And Klerman will feed it to Nilsson. Nilsson got his first goal of the year, 8:45 into the second. He'll dump it in. It kicked off the skate of Tardif. Ben to the left side, skates towards a point. Now he'll feed it back towards the left side. Grizzlies spread the ice. Klerman over to the high slot. He'll skate in. Shot saved by Kelly. Actually, it looked like it went wide. Tardif will skate towards the left point. Grizz in the attack zone. Now skate towards a corner. Tardif, centering pass, shot, saved by Kelly. Rebound goes to Kansas City. Great pass by Tardif out in front, but Kelly denied him. Kansas City gets to their blue line. They'll feed a blue line to blue line pass. The Mavericks enter the offensive zone. Right side, Mavericks, lefty shot, save, got redirected. Metcalf was in the area, but Kansas City will skate towards the point. The whistle blows. 4:03 is left in the second period. Luke Stevens was in the area, so is Tardif. It looks like we might have a timeout on the ice. Utah leads 3-1 as the Grizz held strong for about 4 straight minutes of penalty kill time. Draw's going to come back to neutral ice. Unfortunately, we're not sure what the whistle is. It looks like there is a timeout. 4:03 is left in the second. It's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 1. We're back in 30 seconds. This is the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
Maverick's new Bean to Cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
Grizzlies lead the Mavericks 3-1. Second intermission, we'll go over all the scoring, and we'll also give you some scores from around the world of sports. Tyler Penner got Utah on the board 2:02 into the second. Tardif and Wright with the assists. 2 minutes, 10 seconds later, Ben Tardif gave Utah a 2-1 lead. Sekos and Wright with the assists. Wright has 2 assists for Utah. And then Andrew Nilsson from the slot skated in, got a one-time pass from Pfizer, and Nilsson blasted away for his first of the year. Pfizer and Klerman with the assists. And even though Kansas City's outshot Utah 22-12, the Grizzlies have a 3-1 lead. 3 unanswered here in the second period. Utah's outscored Kansas City 4-0 in the second period in this series. Mavericks skate in towards the middle, but Dakota Raby will clear it back out as Kansas City crosses center ice. And we got a whistle, 3:50 left in the second. And faceoff's going to come back to center ice. It looked like it deflected off somebody on the bench. Garrett Metcalf making his first start of the season. Well, he gave the Grizzlies fans a little bit of a scare there a few minutes ago as he was on 2 knees being checked out by the trainer, Colin Lee. I say that because the backup tonight is an emergency backup named Victor Vrab, V-R-A-B, as Lucas Preek is not dressing tonight. As Kansas City wins the draw, Theo Calvis will back it out into his own zone. His pass is picked off. Pfizer, left circle, feeds it to the far goal line. They tried to find Cutler cutting out in front. And the puck ends up towards the left side. Kansas City gets it. Mavericks will feed it over to the left corner. Racing after it's Connor McDonald, but icing is called on the Mavericks. 3:31 left in the second, and Connor once again has played an outstanding game over in the corners and away from the puck. It's kind of interesting to see the Grizzlies, who normally seem to be in the top 10 in the league in shots per game. But it seems like recently the Grizzlies, they had 34 shots on November 1st, but tonight just 12 shots in the first about 36 and a half minutes of this game. As the Grizz win the draw, Tardif around the net, all wraparound shot, saved by Kelly. Now he tries to kick it out in front to Jamison, to Wright, and Kelly is able to cover up. Boy, what a job by Ben Tardif. And you were wondering when number 20 was going to get going. Well, he's got a goal and an assist here in the second period. Now, on that wraparound attempt, he had the door denied by Kelly. Then he got it back and centered it to right. And Kelly was able to deny that one as well. What a second period for Ben Tardif. By far his best period this season. He at times can carry the Grizzlies and carry the team that he's on. And, Tardif looks like he has dominated this second period. Left side, Grizzlies win the draw. Shot saved by Kelly. He holds on, 3:17 left in the second. Grizzlies are going to keep it in the offensive zone, as Dylan Kelly so far tonight has stopped 11 of 14. His backup tonight is Riley Morris, who was just signed by the Mavericks. As the draw won by Kansas City, they'll skate around their own net into the corner. Mavericks try to clear it out, and they couldn't. As the Grizzlies looking for Wright, he couldn't reach it. Now Kansas City will clear it out to center ice as the Mavericks try to kick it in deep, and they do. Utah chases after along the far side. Now it goes back, deflects to the point. Mavericks fire a shot saved by Metcalf. Now far side shot. That one goes wide on a backhand attempt. And now the Grizzlies. Well, Kansas City was able to keep it in as they'll feed it to the right side. 2:42 left in the second. Sharp angled shot. That one goes wide. Mavericks around the boards. And out to the right side. Shot saved by Metcalf as he makes a blocker stop. Rebound goes to Cameron Wright, and he'll feed it back to center ice. Less than 2.5 minutes left in the second period. Kansas City tried to dump it in. Wright picks it off. He'll feed a pass from blue line to blue line. Utah was looking for it, but it goes wide of the mark and rolls towards Kelly, who covers up. But the Grizzlies skated over there, so Kelly had to cover up and do nothing else. As Utah will have an offensive zone draw. 2:21 left in the second. If you're talking about the forward line that's dominated for Utah, it's the three that was just on the ice. Sekos, Wright, and Tardif. So now Johnny Walker's going to get a shift out there with Tyler Penner. Andrew Nilsson also on the ice as well. Connor McDonald for Utah. And looks like the official is, I think a delay of game penalty might be called on Utah. According to the official signal, I think it might be on Kansas City. So it looks like Kansas City might have been called for a penalty there. It looked like the signal that the referee had, and we only saw him from like the side of the screen. It kind of looked like he gave a delay of game type of signal. Utah's up 3-1. Josh Lamon talking it with the linesman. We'll have to start counting bodies when we get the first wide shot to see if Utah's on the power play here. Keaton Jamison will take the draw for Utah. As now the linesman's talking with Jake Jaremko. Yeah, there is a Maverick in the penalty box. So Utah is going to be on the power play. It looks like Howdeshell's in the box for Kansas City. So it's the first power play of the game for the Grizzlies. As Kansas City wins the draw, they'll carry it out to center ice themselves. 2-on-4. Mavericks skate in. Right side. Shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound. And that one goes wide. Now right side. Kansas City looks to center it. Utah picked it off. Grizz on their first power play of the game. They'll skate towards the left circle. Lefty shot. And Kelly makes the save. It deflects out of play. In the area was Nate Konepke. Knoepke. He played for the University of Nebraska, Omaha the last 4 years. So good luck by the Grizzlies from the left side. Kind of looked like either Cutler or Tardif from that area. Grizz are 2 for 27 on the power play so far this season. Jamison will take the drop. This time it's one actually off the drop. It rolls towards Kelly, who covers up. And so we'll have another whistle. Well, 1:39 left in the Grizzlies power play, and an even 2 minutes left in the second period. Andrew Nilsson's out there along with Tardif. Jamison, Wright, and Cutler. Cutler will take the face-off against Nick Pastajov. Cutler looks towards his left. Draw won by Utah. They'll get it up top for Nilsson. He'll skate towards his right. He'll feed it to Tardif. Now back across. Kansas City gets a stick in the way. Mavericks skate towards the right side. Pastajov gets around Nilsson, but Nilsson with a good poke check as it goes to the right corner. Great job by Nilsson denying Pastajov an attempt at a shorthanded goal. As the puck deep in the Grizzlies zone, as Cutler will get it over to Nilsson, who's behind the net. As Nilsson will feed it ahead to Tardif. He'll throw a right wing pass to Wright at center ice. Wright gets it across to Tardif as Ben Gets up top for Nielsen. Andrews skates towards his right, halfway through Utah's power play. Over to Cutler on the left side near the boards. He'll bounce it off the far boards to Nielsen, who fakes a shot and lightly taps it to Tardif on the right side. Tardif skates towards the right circle. He'll bounce it off the wall for Nielsen. Nielsen, right wing shot. And it deflects off of Kelly and goes out of play. 46 seconds left in the Grizzlies' power play. Good look by Nielsen from the right side. Looked like he tried to go stick side on Kelly, but it just deflected off of him and went out of play off the protective netting. 1:07 is left in the second. Draw's going to be in the Kansas City zone. And we're going to check to see what that penalty was on Kansas City. It was a bench minor for delay of game. A bench minor. That'd be kind of nice. Maybe Kansas City didn't get their 5 out in the ice in time or something. Because it didn't look like they threw the puck into the stands from their own zone. One of those, I guess we had to be there to see it. Off the draw, Utah made a line change. Slot, shot, saved by Kelly as somebody off the screen took a shot with 43 seconds left in the power play. I guess that's one of those you had to be there as well. Utah leads 3-1. We'll go over all the scoring in the second intermission as Sekos will take the face-off. He's been outstanding so far in this second period. He's got 1 assist, which is his first assist of the season. As Kansas City will clear it out to center ice. Pfizer runs it down. 30 seconds left in the Grizzlies' power play. As Utah back at their goal line, now they start the attack from left to right. Grizz get it over to Raby. He crosses center ice right wing. Raby gains the line, stops on the right wing near the boards, about halfway from the point to the corner, as Raby has the puck at the near goal line. He'll get it up top from Martin. He'll feed it across. I think that's Sekos. Back to Martin. He'll take a shot. Saved by Kelly. He holds on as the Grizzlies had a body out in front, and Jordan Sandbrook nearby as well for Kansas City. 30 seconds left in the second period. 10 seconds left in the Grizzlies' power play, which is their first of the evening. Utah's had some good looks on this power play, even though they haven't scored yet in this series on the man advantage. Utah's power play, it seemed like, was about middle of the road last season. Obviously, their power play went through Dastu with a little bit of Tardif mixed in. Tardif had a lot of power play assists last year, if I remember right. As the Mavericks win the draw, and they'll skeet towards the right corner of their own zone. Now they'll clear it out, but only to center ice. Good hands by Terran Pfizer. He'll feed it to the left side. Grizz dump it back in. As they're back to even strength as Howdeshell out of the penalty box, and Kansas City will clear it out. They're shorthanded, so that's going to get an icing call. An enthusiastic raise of the right arm by one of the linesmen as we'll come back down to the Kansas City end with 10.8 seconds left in the second. That lets you know that that was one of those penalties that Ryan Knaswich, could pick the guy that went in the box, and he picked Howdeshell. So it was one of those, it was a delay of game, but it didn't look like, like I mentioned, it was a common Kansas City gave a fan a souvenir from their own zone kind of play. So we're not really sure what happened there, as it must have been away from the action that we're seeing on Flow Sports. Cutler will take the face-off in the left circle. Grizzlies wearing the black jerseys tonight with white numbers and professional green trim. As Cutler talking it over with the Grizzlies defenseman off the screen. Josh Lamon taking the face-off for Kansas City. Lamon has 2 assists in 4 games so far, as it's Kansas City's 5th game of the season. They've got a record of 3-1. Utah's a record of 2-3 as they're 1-2 on this current road trip. Cutler will take the face-off against Lamon. And everybody's looking away from the screen. It looks like Cutler taking his time getting into the circle. Now everybody's kind of looking off the screen at something. Why, was it some sort of face-off violation or something? As the referee talking with the scores table, and it looks like they're going to point to the other circle for the face-off. Looked like they were lined up on the left side. Now that's where the face-off's going to be. Had an interesting period here so far. As the draw won by Kansas City, as they'll clear the puck. 4 seconds left as they'll skeet towards the right side. Howdeshell will throw it to the offensive goal line, but nothing comes out of it as time runs out on the Mavericks in this second period. But what a second. We were talking about where the Grizzlies were going to produce the offense. They score 3 goals in the first 8 minutes and 45 seconds of the second period as Utah leads 3-1. We'll recap all the scoring and all the stories from the second period when we come back. Once again, the score after 2 periods, it's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 1. Siegfried and Jensen intermission reports coming up next on the Grizzlies Hockey Network. Second intermission over at Cable Dahmer Arena. Utah leads 3-1, and what really has been an interesting first two periods of play. Kansas City scored with 47 seconds left in the first. Nick Passage, the Kansas City captain, who looks like he's talking right now on the Kansas City feed on Flow Sports. He got his fourth of the year. Jeremy McKenna and Pascal LeBerg with the assist. Kansas City outshot Utah 11-5 in the first period, and you kind of had to wonder, where were the Grizzlies going to find the offense? And Utah got it early and often in the second period, as Cameron Wright was over on the left side, and he got a pass from Tardif, and then Cameron Wright fired away, and his shot got redirected by Tyler Penner and into the back of the net. It was Penner's first goal of the season. He had 13 in the regular year last season. He also had 20 assists. Cameron Wright picks up his third assist of the season, and first two assists tonight. Ben Tardif also with an assist, and that tied it up at 1. 2 minutes, 10 seconds later, Tardif found the back of the net as Wright nudged it to Sekos, and then Sekos was in the slot deep in the Grizzlies' offensive zone, threw it to the right side, and Tardif from the right circle did his best Charles Edward Dastu impersonation as he went top shelf over the right shoulder of Dylan Kelly on a one-timer. And Tardif got his first of the season, 4-12 into the second. Ben had 20 goals in 53 games last year for the Grizz, and he also had 5 goals in 18 playoff games. You knew it was just a matter of time, and Ben Tardif dominated the third period along with Sekos and Wright. That top forward line in the second period is a big reason as to why the Grizzlies have a 2-goal lead. So Tardif's goal made it 2-1, and then the Grizzlies really did a good job working the puck around. Klerman had an outstanding shift, got the puck in deep over to Pfizer. Terrence skated over to the left side, and he found Andrew Nilsson, who was kind of started near the blue line, and then he started cutting towards the net. Pfizer fed a pass out to Nilsson, and Andrew, while he was on the move, fired a one-timer that got past Dylan Kelly. And we know about the strength of Andrew Nilsson's shot. We saw that time and time again last year. And Andrew finally put it to good use this season as he got his first of the year. Pfizer and Klerman with the assist. And just like that, 8:45 into the second period, Utah led 3-1. Kansas City had 2 power plays in that first period. Bryson Martin got a tripping minor, 10:38 in. Grizzlies did a good job closing out the door there. And then Victor Bartley got a tripping minor, 12:52 in. And it was early in that power play, Kansas City second, where all of a sudden we saw the Grizzlies trainer Colin Lee. Now, we really like Colin, but we just don't want to ever mention him on the air because that usually means he's out on the ice tending to a player. Well, think about this scenario coming into the game. Garrett Metcalf is a starter. The backup is an emergency backup named Victor Vrab. V-R-A-B is how he spells his last name. So there was quite a bit of concern when Colin was looking after Garrett Metcalf. And he was kind of looking around the same area where Metcalf had his injury last season. Remember, he got hurt somewhere in the Grizzlies series against Kansas City in March. We're not entirely sure when, but it did look like, if I remember right, in that series, Garrett looked like he was favoring the upper part of his body. And, you know, the last game he played was March 12th and then had season-ending surgery. So it was a bit of a concern when you see Colin Lee looking towards that area that Metcalf got injured in last year, knowing that there was an emergency backup. Looked like Colin Lee was out there for about 2 minutes, maybe 2.5, and then he exited the ice and Metcalf stayed in. And how about Garrett Metcalf? You know, we talk about the Grizzlies' offensive explosion in the second period. You can't overlook the fact that Metcalf stopped all 13 Kansas City shots in the second period, as Garrett has stopped 23 of 24, and he's a big reason as to why the Grizzlies have a 2-goal lead after 40 minutes of play. Utah had 5 shots in the first, 13 in the second. Kansas City, 11 shots in the first and 13 in the second. Mavericks had one pretty good look on that second power play, if I remember right, as Tristan Mullen had a one-timer out in front, and Garrett was able to make the stop without a rebound. Now, if I remember right as well, Utah had 2 pretty good looks shorthanded. And that kind of reminded me of last season when the Grizzlies led the league with 20 shorthanded goals. 17:39 into the second. There was a bench minor delay of game. So it wasn't like a typical delay of game for, throwing the puck into the stands from your own zone. That's one of those where we're not entirely sure about all the details of that. All we do know is Keegan Haldashell represented the Mavericks in the penalty box, and Utah was able to get their first power play of the game. Utah had a couple good looks on that power play, but just couldn't connect. And that stayed a 3-1 game, and that's where we stand now. As Utah, despite being outshot 24-18, they've got a 2-goal lead. Ben Tardif has 1 goal and 1 assist. Cameron Wright has 2 assists. Tyler Penner with the goal. Zach Sekos with an assist. Taryn Fizer, 1 assist, as he has a point in 5 of his 6 games this season. For Kansas City, they're led by Jeremy McKenna with 4 shots. Tommy Muck and Nick Pastajov, as well as Hugo Waugh, each have 3 shots. Pastajov has the lone Kansas City goal that he scored with 47 seconds left in the first period. So we'll see what happens in the third. Kansas City did outscore Utah 2-0 in the third period on Tuesday night, but the Grizz once again dominating the second period as they have outscored the Mavericks 4-0 in the second period in the 2 games so far in this series. Let's get to some other scores from around the league. We'll keep an eye in particular on the Mountain Division matchups. First intermission, Rapid City and Idaho are tied 1 goal apiece. Looks like Martin has a goal for Rapid City, his 4th of the year, and Patrick Kudla has scored for Idaho. Kudla's goal was scored with 45 seconds left in the first. Idaho has outshot Rapid City 18-10, and that game is tied at 1 after 1 period over at Idaho Central Arena. Second intermission, Wichita leads Allen 3-0. Grizzlies will face Wichita later on this season. Utah will face Allen in a 3-game set next week, next Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, November 9th, 11th, and 12th. I think face off all 3 of those nights. We'll be at 6:05 over in the Mountain Time Zone. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:50. Hamiluk has 2 goals for Wichita, his 3rd and 4th of the season. Jake Wallen also scored for the Thunder. Allen has outshot Wichita 21-12, but the Thunder lead 3-0 after 2 periods. Other action in the league, 8 minutes are left in the third. Florida leads Jacksonville 2-1. Games have gone final. Newfoundland defeats Maine 3-1. Greenville over Savannah 3-2, and that's important because that's the first loss in Savannah Ghost Pirates history. They were 4-0 going into the contest. We got a good battle over in Quebec. Adirondack and the Lions are tied at 3. Wheeling defeats Reading 2-1. That game played at Reading as Wheeling gets their 2nd win of the season. In overtime, Toledo defeats Kalamazoo 4-3. Mitchell Hurd got the game winner for Toledo exactly 2 minutes into overtime. Indy over Iowa 5-2 as Iowa falls to 0-6 on the season. Indy's record goes to 4-1. Atlanta defeats Orlando 5-0. So Atlanta goes to 4-2 this season. Orlando goes to 1-3-1. Only 2 NHL games tonight. I know that tomorrow will be a busy slate. Both games have gone final. Over in Finland this afternoon, the Colorado Avalanche get a 6-3 victory over Columbus, and Carolina defeats Buffalo 5-3. In the NBA, action across the league. The Jazz will face the Lakers in less than an hour. Games have gone final in the NBA. Nets defeat the Wizards 128-86. Knicks over the Sixers 106-104. Pacers defeat the Heat 101-99. Cavaliers go to 7-1 on the season. They defeat Detroit 112-88. As Donovan Mitchell's out to an outstanding start this season. However, Mitchell did not play for Cleveland tonight, but the Cavaliers still get a 24-point victory. At the half, Mavericks lead the Raptors 62-57. Pelicans lead the Warriors 61-54. That game at the half. Warriors are off to a 3-6 start this season. Late third quarter, Spurs lead the Clippers 83-78. Middle of the fourth quarter, Celtics lead the Bulls 105-95. And late third quarter, the Memphis Grizzlies are blowing out the Charlotte Hornets 104-66. When we come back to the Siegfried and Jensen intermission report, we'll talk with Guy Carenza and get his thoughts on what was an outstanding second period for the Grizzlies as they outscored the Mavericks 3-0. This is the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
If you're out driving and something happens to your car, truck, or even wheelchair, and you end up stuck at a rail crossing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Here's what you do. Get out if you can and look for this blue sign on the metal pole. Call the number on the blue sign, and when they answer, tell them the crossing number. The number is right here. This tells them the exact location of the crossing. This is the fastest way to get trains stopped before coming through the crossing. Look for the blue. It helps you.
And the Grizzlies lead 3-1. It was the Ben Tardif show in the second period as he had 1 goal and 1 assist. Cameron Wright picked up an assist as he had a shot that was redirected by Tyler Penner. It was one of those he wasn't meaning to get an assist. He was trying to get a goal, but Penner redirected it into the back of the net, and Andrew Nilsson scored his first goal of the season, and Garrett Metcalf stopped all 13 shots he saw in the second period. As we got Guy Carenza here in the studio with me, and we'll have Kiki Crum give us the post-game report after the game. You'll catch that at UtahGrizzlies.com. But Guy, when Garrett Metcalf was being checked out by the trainer, knowing that Lucas Preek was not in uniform tonight, boy, my heart kind of sunk. Luckily, he was able to stay in the game, and he's played pretty well tonight.
Yeah, he's been excellent tonight, and wow, that's a sight you really don't want to see, especially with a e-bug waiting behind him. But yeah, no, Garrett has been really good this game in his season debut, and it's good to see him back, especially after suffering a season-ending shoulder injury last year. So he's been great, and yeah.
For Ben Tardif, you knew it was just a matter of time, and it's really the creative nature in how he gets his points. He's great in open ice, and he was able to display that in the second period. And really that forward line of Tardif, Sekos, and Wright, that was the combination that got the Grizzlies going.
That line has been amazing tonight, and we saw Coach kind of shifting the lines around the last couple of games, kind of looking for anybody that might have some chemistry with each other. Well, these three guys, this is it. Sekos, Wright, and Tardif, that's the line that has been making the difference tonight, and especially Ben Tardif. The guy's amazing. It's so fun to watch him play. He's got like lightning in his skates, it seems. I mean, 1 second he's on the other side of the ice, and another second he's down at the goal line, and that's exactly what happened today. Down below the circle, great shot over the shoulder. Can't ask for much more.
Grizzlies had a 2-1 lead after 2 periods on Tuesday night. Kansas City scored 2 unanswered in the third, but it's a 2-goal lead for the Grizzlies this evening. You always talk about in these situations, almost to the point where it's cliche, and you almost expect that, hey, first 5 minutes of this third period are going to be critical. But I do think here the first 5 minutes are going to be critical in the third period because you want to make sure you don't let Kansas City back in this game.
Yeah, for sure, Tyson. And it starts with staying out of the penalty box. We saw the Grizzlies take a penalty late in the game on Tuesday, and that's what ended up being the difference as Kansas City scored a power play goal to put them up and win that game. So stay out of the penalty box and keep the momentum and the energy on our side. Get shots and just stay in the offensive zone.
Yeah, I thought a critical sequence in that game. Back-to-back penalties by the Grizzlies. It was like they committed a penalty. Martin was in the box. They killed off that penalty, and almost immediately after that, Bartley got a penalty of his own. About 4 straight minutes of penalty kill time, and the Grizzlies did an outstanding job keeping it a 3-1 game.
Yeah, the penalty kill has been good. The Grizzlies have been pretty sound defensively. I expect more of the same in the third period. And, keep things the same if you can for the Grizzlies. You had a great second period. Build upon it in the third.
Both teams had 13 shots in the second. We'll talk with Guy during the post-game report as we're about set for third period action shortly. And we'll have that third period when we come back. Once again, the score after 2 periods, it's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 1. You're listening to Utah Grizzlies hockey, presented by Siegfried and Jensen.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account.
Maverick's new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
Now the Mavericks are out shooting the Grizzlies 24-18, but Utah's got a 3-1 lead heading into the third period. It's kind of interesting to see, the special teams playing such a role in the third period on Tuesday night, and yet really haven't seen much in terms of special teams, as Utah had one power play in the second period as bench minor delay of game 17:39 in. Before that, Kansas City had back-to-back power plays as Martin had a tripping minor 10:38 in, and then after he came out of the penalty box 14 seconds later, Victor Bartley got a tripping minor 12:52 in. Although Bartley's penalty could have called it a hook or anything, he just kind of spun the Kansas City player around, and the penalty was called by the referee. Tonight it's Alex Normanton. It was a different guy on Tuesday night, and so we'll see if the Grizzlies can hold on to this 3-1 lead. Last season, when leading after two periods, Utah had a record of 29-1. Utah this season, when leading after two, is 1-1. So you talk about the Grizzlies and their discipline defensively. That's going to be on display here, protecting a 2-goal lead. And, it's kind of interesting to see the goaltending situation. We talked about before the season how deep the Grizzlies are in net. You got Trent Miner, Lucas Parikh, and Garrett Metcalf. Well, last week, last Friday to be exact, after the game, Trent Miner was recalled to the AHL's Colorado Eagles, and that left the Grizzlies with Parikh and Garrett Metcalf. Now, before tonight, Parikh had played in 4 games in a row. He'd done a pretty solid job. 2-2 record with a .917 save percentage and 2.51 goals against average. I'm not sure if he's not feeling well or whatever the case may be, but he's not dressed tonight. So you talk about that depth coming into play. Garrett Metcalf, who played in 9 games for the Grizzlies, had about a .917 save percentage. He was in there tonight, and he's done a good job stopping 23 of 24. Now, before the season, he had spent some time in the AHL camp with the Calgary Wranglers, the team that moved from Stockton to Calgary, and I think they ended up playing earlier today against Tucson. But Metcalf, you think about him doing a good job, and I kind of heard some reports from Calgary that they were really impressed with what they saw from the former 6th-round draft pick of the Anaheim Ducks back in 2015. And Garrett's done a solid job in his first start of the season for the Grizz. We're not yet sure about the availability for Lucas Parikh tomorrow night, or if Garrett's going to have to go back-to-back games, as we're about set to start the third period of play. As it's game 2 of the 3-game set and game 4 of 8 straight on the road. Utah's 1-2 on the current road trip. And Kansas City, they got a 3-2 victory on Tuesday night. Same teams tomorrow night. Utah's hoping that's the rubber match of the 3-game series, as we're about set to put 20 minutes on the stadium scoreboard clock over at Cable Dahmer. This is a remote broadcast as I'm here at Maverick Center, so bear with us as sometimes the pictures don't tell the whole story. Cutler checking out the game puck with the referee, as he'll take the face-off for Utah against Hugo Waugh. As Metcalf will crouch down low, take the face-off. It's won by Kansas City. Mavericks are skating from left to right here in the third period as they'll dump it in, but not all the way, as Nilsson will attack it the other way. He'll throw it off the stick of Cutler. He'll run it down along the near boards, back to Raby, looking back for Cutler, as Kansas City will roll it back around towards the far side, as the Mavericks now go D to D, as they'll feed it out to center ice. Puck exits the screen into the Grizzly zone. Utah has it, as the Grizz have it roll around the boards. It's behind Metcalf's net, and he'll give way to a defenseman as Utah spreads the ice about 40 seconds into the third period. As the Grizz will get it over to Nilsson. He'll feed it into the Maverick zone, and the Grizz settle into the left side as Tardif around the net. Skates towards the right side. Tardif stops. Tries to find right out to the left side. He gets poked away. Good idea by Tardif, but Kansas City will cross center ice. Now the Mavericks feed it over to the left as they try to kick it down the middle, and it's kicked away by Nelson, who did a good job denying the centering pass intended for LeBerg. Grizz will skate it out to center ice as Sekos with the puck, and he'll back it out and into his own zone. As Sekos will skate towards his own goal line. Now he's behind his net as he skates around Garrett. As Sekos will carry it out to center ice. Right wing, he'll dump it into the corner. Fitz gets around Elms. They collide in the corner. Skating over there's Jamison. He'll skate towards the corner, gets held up by Calvis. Now Fitz behind the net, bounces off the skate of Jamison and onto the slot where Kansas City will carry it back to center ice. Mavericks dumping in as Utah battling. Kansas City looks for a centering pass. Shot saved by Garrett Metcalf. That was taken by Haldeshell. As Fitz crosses center ice, he'll dump it into the left corner. As the puck lays in the corner, Calvis will run it down, and he'll backhand it all the way out to the far wing boards. Now Kansas City crossing center. Mavericks at their offensive blue line lose the puck. It would have been a delayed offside, so Bryson Martin takes it for Utah. 17:50 and counting left in regulation. Utah's up 3-1. Martin left side will fire a shot that goes wide into the corner. Martin collides with a Maverick skater as Raby left wing shot that gets blocked about 5 feet in front of Dylan Kelly. Now the puck ends up going to Kansas City as they're battling along the boards of Utah on the near side as the Mavericks will skate it out to center ice themselves. They nudge it ahead. It bounced off a Grizzly. Now another Maverick gets it and dumps it around. McDonald in the left corner and tried to clear it out, but he fell down. Now it goes back to Nilsson, and he's on the right side, chips it ahead. Raby, left wing, will bounce it off the near boards. Looking for Pfizer. He's in the corner. He collides with Konepke as Raby in the corner gets hit. Pfizer over there as well. Jordan Sambrook holding up Raby. Coming out of the pile with the puck is Jake Jaremko as the Mavericks towards the right side get it taken away. Right point, Pfizer with a shot that goes wide. Taken by Konepke, wearing number 5. He did not play on Tuesday night, so bounce it to center ice. Utah takes it. Grizz get to center ice, try to dump it in. Sekos gets around a skater, tried to throw it to the corner, cut off by Kansas City. As the Mavericks skate around their net, 3.5 minutes into the third period, it's still 3-1 Utah. As Kansas City crosses center ice and dumps it in. Metcalf stays in front of his net as the Grizz will feed it to the near side. As Utah will toss it ahead. Klurman out to center ice for Wright. Now to the right side for Tardif. He'll stop outside the circle. He'll drop it off as Grizzlies skate towards the goal line. Wright will feed it to Nilsson. Andrew skates towards his right. He'll fire towards the net. That goes wide. As Sekos and Wright in the area. Kansas City takes it away from both of them. Now the Mavericks feed it out to center ice. Mavericks nudge it ahead. They'll skate towards the left circle. Take a shot. Saved by Metcalf. As Jake McLaughlin had a really good look as he cut down the left side. He was wide open. Skated towards the dot and fired a lefty shot. But Garrett makes the stop without a rebound. We're talking about star honors. I mean, Ben Tardif with 1 goal and 1 assist. But how about Garrett Metcalf tonight? As he has stopped 25 of 26. And McLaughlin skates towards the bench. He holds his head down, and he's on the bench thinking to himself, golden opportunity. But, just Garrett was able to make the stop. As Kansas City wins the draw, they're in the offensive zone. Left point, shot gets blocked, goes out to center ice. Mavericks will reset offensively as Calvis will throw it towards the Grizzlies bench. And from the left wing, Mavericks dump it in. Bartley to the corner, gets it to Penner as he'll clear it out to the left point, but not out of the zone as Kansas City behind the net. They feed it to the left circle. He'll take a shot. They glanced off of McDonald. Now the Mavericks in the corner. Tristan Mullen feeds to the point. It's picked off by Utah, who anticipated the play. Walker crosses center ice, and he dumps it in. And the Grizz behind the net get held up. Walker's out in front of the net, but the puck's still behind it as Penner's in the area and gets kicked over to the right side. Walker with a shot that gets blocked in front. Penner with a shot saved by Kelly as Kansas City. Jaremko tried to clear it out, stays in left point. Penner around the boards. Now Utah behind the net as they'll veer towards the right corner. Now they'll feed it up top, right side. Klurman gets it to Cutler. Cutler, right side, fires towards the net. Got redirected by Kansas City. As Walker gets spun around, we get a whistle as he was battling with Theo Calvis. Boy, who's the penalty going to be on? Oh, looks like Walker's skating towards the penalty box as Calvis is skating towards the bench. So it looks like Johnny Walker might go to the penalty box. 14:49 is left in the third. It would be Kansas City's third power play of the game, and it is on Johnny Walker. 2 minutes for hooking as he is sitting in the penalty box staring at the Flow Sports camera. Walker now leads the team with 13 penalty minutes on the year. That's minutes 12 and 13. 2 minutes for hooking. 3-1 Grizzlies as Kansas City 0 for 2 on the power play tonight gets their third chance. Jaremko will take the draw against Keaton Jamison. And the faceoff won by Kansas City. As they're back on the right side, Hugo Waugh feeds it to the high slot. Now the Mavericks get to the left side. One-timer, saved by Metcalf. As Jaremko was in the area, but it was Metcalf that made the save as Jaremko was in front of the net. Couldn't see who took that shot from the left circle. Howdeshell was in the area, but it wasn't him that took that shot. I think it was Pascal LeBerg, number 29. 10 seconds into the Mavericks power play. 14:38 left in the third. It's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 1. Jamison, Jaremko will take the draw again. As a faceoff won by Utah. And they'll clear it out. As Dylan Kelly in front of his net stops it, and he'll give it to Tommy Muck. Muck skates around the net. He was named an alternate captain yesterday by Kansas City. They'll feed it to the left side as Howdeshell skates towards the goal line, drops it back off for the point. Jamison anticipated the play and picks it off and clears it out. Good job by Keaton Jamison anticipating the puck going back to the point. Now the Mavericks restart the attack. Hugo Waugh skates down the middle. Now feed it to the right side. As Koski overskated the puck and Kansas City is called offsides. As the pass is behind Cole Koski as he was trying to enter the zone. Draw's going to come back to neutralize. 1:15 left in the Kansas City power play. It looks like the Mavericks make a line change. Sekos will take the face-off for Utah against Nick Pasajov. I mentioned yesterday Muck was named an alternate captain. Pasajov was named captain. He's wearing the C for the Mavericks. Kansas City wins the face-off. They'll feed it over to the left side. Mavericks get around to Skater. They try to feed it out in front to Pasajov, and Utah pokes it back to the high slot. Mavericks keep it in as Howdeshell gets it in the left point. He'll feed it across. Now back to Howdeshell. He's now in the high slot. They got a lefty shot, and that gets blocked away and out off the protective netting. Couldn't tell if that was Metcalf that blocked it or if it was a defenseman out in front. As Pasajov is out in front, Bryson Martin over there for Utah. As the whistle blows, 13:41 left in the third. 53 seconds left in the Kansas City power play. Grizz are still up by 2. Draw won by the Mavericks. As they're in the left point, lefty shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound shot, and Mullen looking for a chance, but doesn't convert. Wright gets the penner, and Tyler will clear it out. The Mavericks have done a good job in this series getting the puck out in front, but Metcalf and company have done a good job here denying them in the third period. This puck is at the Kansas City corner on the near side. Wright surrounded by 3 Mavericks. He'll skate towards the right side. He gets knocked down. Is there going to be a penalty? No, there's not. As Wright will retreat back towards the Grizzlies zone. And Kansas City will restart the attack from left to right. 15 seconds left in the power play and 13 minutes left in the third. Kansas City will skate towards the middle. Now they'll drop it off left wing. Shot saved by Metcalf. That one was taken by Tristan Mullen. Puck rolls around the boards. Back to the left side. Mullen gets hit. Utah clears it out. Coming out of the box is Johnny Walker as Dylan Kelly can't play the puck there in the restricted area as McLaughlin will skate over there. As he gets back checked at center ice, but keeps the puck and crosses center and dumps it in. As Nilsson over in his corner will skate towards his net. He'll feed it to Pfizer. Taryn behind his own goal line. Skates back towards the corner. Now lift the puck high into the air as it bounces into the Kansas City zone. Kelly has it roll towards the crease. Now Cutler with a shot saved by Kelly. Rebound goes to the Mavericks as the Grizz feed it to the left circle. Cutler spins it back around as it goes to the right side. Utah feeds the slot. Shot saved by Kelly. Rebound goes to Utah on the right side. Raby skates towards the goal line. Tries to drop it off for Pfizer. Taryn feeds it to the high slot. Grizzlies skate towards their left. Now back to Nilsson. Over to the right side. One-timer. That one goes wide. Puck ends up bouncing back towards the right wing boards. Now near the corner. Taken by Josh Lamon. As he'll feed it back to the right corner. It's Kansas City. Nate Konepke. As he'll skate towards the far wing. And he'll feed it to center ice. Grizzlies make a line change. But it goes back to the Grizzlies. Utah carries over the offensive line. Cameron Wright to the left side. Drops it back to the right point. Sekos has it. He'll skate towards his left. Sekos over towards Bartley. He'll skate in. Shot. Saved by Kelly. And the Kansas City netminder holds on. 11:20 left in the third. It's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 1. There's a timeout on the ice. We're back in 30 seconds with the Grizzlies up by 2 on the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Mountain Land Supply Company.
When you pay with the Nitro card at Maverick, you always save 10 cents or more on fuel every gallon, every day. And you could save a whole lot more thanks to Nitro Best Price. Pick up a Nitro card and upgrade your Adventure Club account.
Maverick's new Bean to Cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
It's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 2. Or Mavericks 1. It's a good thing it's just the Mavericks 1 and not 2, as Utah is up by 2 goals. Neither team has scored so far in the third. Utah has outshot Kansas City 9-5 in the third period. Grizzlies are a perfect 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. Utah's 0 for 1 on their power play, so special teams haven't played much of a factor tonight. For the Grizz, Tyler Penner, Ben Tardif, and Andrew Nilsson had second period goals. Nick Passageov scored late in the first period, so it's 3 unanswered for Utah over the last period and a half. Shots have been pretty even for the Grizzlies. Many players with either 2 or 3 shots. Draws in the left circle, offensive zone for the Grizz, but it's Kansas City that wins the face-off. They'll lose the puck at the Utah blue line as the Grizz skate from right to left as we see it on Flow Sports. Your mind's eye see it on YouTube. Grizz, left wing, tried to dump it in. It's picked out by Calvis at the blue line. Now it's taken by Sekos for Utah. He'll get it to Tardif. Ben with a shot on it. Glanced off at Dylan Kelly and goes out of play. Theo Calvis talking with Cameron Wright and the linesman as well. 10:57 left in the third. Oh, is Calvis going to go to the penalty box? He is arguing with a call. And it looks like it's going to be a penalty on Kansas City. As away from the play, Theo Calvis gets an interference minor. So the Grizzlies are going to be on the power play, looking to find a way to wrap this thing up. Calvis gets 2 minutes for interference. He doesn't like the call, but he is in the Rogers and Russell Legal Solutions holding cell. Draw's going to be in the left circle. It'll be Utah's second power play tonight. Grizz are 2 for 28 on the man advantage so far this season. Calvis sporting a mustache, and he still looks perplexed. As the draw won by Kansas City, they'll feed it over to the right side, but it's Utah that takes it. Fitz feeds it over to the right point. As the Grizz skate towards their far corner, now back up top. Utah skates back towards the corner once again. Now feed it up top. Nilsson in the area. He'll fire a lefty shot saved by Kelly. Rebound goes out towards the near boards. Grizz get it over to Fitz. Dylan will toss it across, but it exits the zone as the Grizz will have to skate back into their own end and restart the attack. Utah will get it across to Sekos. He'll skate towards his bench area, being shadowed by Jake Jaremko. As he'll feed it across, Utah will back it out towards their goal line. Nilsson behind Metcalf, now skate north-south down the middle. He'll veer off to the left and pitch a pass out towards Pfizer. Taryn gets to the Kansas City blue line, gets knocked down, and getting it is McLaughlin, and the Mavericks from the right side are able to clear it out. Utah will get some fresh skaters on the ice. 55 seconds left in their power play. Utah's second of the night. As the Grizz skate to neutral ice, as Sekos will drop it off for someone off the screen as Utah completes their line change. And now we got a whistle away from the play. 47 seconds left in Utah's power play. 9:44 left in the third. And it looks like Utah's called for too many men on the ice. So that will do it for the Grizzlies' power play. They're in the middle of a line change. And Sekos had it to neutralize, tried to drop it off. And it looks like Utah was caught with too many men. So they're going to skate 4-on-4 for about a minute As it looks like Johnny Walker is going to be in the box once again, representing Utah, who was called for too many men on the ice. So it'll be 4-on-4 for about a minute, and then after that, Kansas City will have a power play. 9:44 is left in the third. Mavericks have 29 shots to Utah's 27. As they work on a patch of ice over in the Grizzlies zone near the circle. McDonald out there as well as Tardif. 4-on-4 could open up the ice for either side. Well, 47 seconds of a 4-on-4. Can Tardif or McDonald, maybe even Cameron Wright, can they find a way to get Utah some insurance? They're already up by 2. Kansas City wins the draw. Slot, shot, and a score. Yeah, the Mavericks fired a shot. It was McLaughlin from the high slot. It looked like it got redirected, and skating to the bench first is Pascal LeBerg. LeBerg redirected the McLaughlin shot 5 seconds into the 4-on-4. The Mavericks have cut into the Grizzlies' lead. It's Utah 3 and Kansas City 2. As the Mavericks won the faceoff, fed it up top from McLaughlin. He was in the high slot with the blue line nearby and just kind of fired away. And LeBerg was the one that skated to the bench first, and McLaughlin immediately pointed to him. Pascal LeBerg gets his third of the season. We're back to live action. 9:30 left in the third. Skating 4-on-4 again as Jaremko over to the left point. He'll skate it out of the zone. Now back into Kansas City territory. Mavericks are skating from left to right in the third period. As skating against Kolkoski. Left wing, he'll take a shot. Saved by Metcalf. And Garrett will hold on as a quick whistle blew. 20 seconds left in the 4-on-4. Kolkoski's got 1 goal and 1 assist this season. He played for Worcester last year. And watch out for him because he's a dangerous forward in the left circle in particular, as he can get his shot off in a hurry. 9:17 left in the third. We got a timeout as Pascal LeBerg redirected a Jake McLaughlin shot, as it's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 2. We're back in 30 seconds as this is Utah Grizzlies hockey presented by Mountain Land Supply Company.
If you're out driving and something happens to your car, truck, or even wheelchair, and you end up stuck at a rail crossing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Here's what you do. Get out if you can and look for this blue sign on the metal pole. Call the number on the blue sign, and when they answer, tell them the crossing number. The number is right here. This tells them the exact location of the crossing. This is the fastest way to get trains stopped before coming through the crossing. Look for the blue. It helps.
Maverick's new bean-to-cup machines always deliver a freshly ground cup of coffee on demand, so you can enjoy any of our premium roasts at their best, day or night, hot or iced. Enjoy a fresh cup today.
Well, we got a barn burner over at Cable Dahmer Arena as Pascal LeBerg redirected a Jake McLaughlin shot. 10:21 into the third. Both teams are skating 4-on-4 for the next 30 seconds or so, and then after that, Kansas City will have a power play. Utah scored 3 unanswered in the second. Kansas City in this series has outscored Utah 3-0. 20 seconds left of a 4-on-4 as Hugo Wall will take the draw against Keaton Jamison. Mavericks win the draw. They're in the offensive zone, right side. As Kansas City fires towards a slot. Shot. That one goes wide as the Mavericks feed towards the middle. Utah picks it off. Grizz. Brandon Cutler looking for Nate Clerman ahead. McLaughlin cuts in front of him. McLaughlin won a Kelly Cup with Florida last year. Over to Hugo Wall. Skeet towards the right side. Shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound goes to Clerman. It's now Kansas City's on the power play as Clerman will toss it off the stick of the Grizzly. Now LeBerg down the middle. Shot saved by Metcalf. LeBerg being defended by Bryson Martin. It kicks off of Martin, and Utah is able to clear it out. But it looks like it deflects out a play off of Maverick. As play stops, 53 seconds left in the power play for Kansas City. And you talk about impressive defensemen for the Mavericks. Jake McLaughlin really has stood out all series long. I think that you think about the players that were acquired by Tad O'Had in the offseason. He wanted guys that had winning experience in other places in the league, and Jake McLaughlin's one of those guys. As Kansas City's off to a 3-1 start this season. Utah wins the draw. They'll feed it over to the right circle. Grizzlies with a shot, and that one goes wide. It looks like it deflects out of plays. Grizz won the faceoff, threw it down to the right side. It was Tyler Penner who skated down there, and he was about in a similar spot to where Fitz scored on Tuesday night over in the right circle near the corner, and he fired kind of a tough angled shot, and it got redirected and out of play. Draw's going to be in the Kansas City zone. 8:27 left in the third. Mavericks win the face-off. They got 40 seconds left on a power play, as the Mavericks so far tonight are 0 for 3 on the man advantage. It's Kansas City will feed it to center ice from the left wing. They'll skate in. They'll drop it off. Over to the left circle. Try to feed it out in front. Utah picks it off and clears it out. Kansas City gets it back to McLaughlin. He'll skate around his net. 17 seconds left in the Kansas City power play across the center ice. Gets around Sekos. McLaughlin skates towards the corner. Stops, feeds it up top. As McKenna gets it back to McLaughlin. 10 seconds left in the power play. McLaughlin skates towards his right as he'll get it to the right corner. Mavericks feed it back up top for McLaughlin as he'll get it to the corner. Passage off. Now to the right side near the goal line. Shot saved by Metcalf. Rebound out in front. Kansas City hacking away. There's 8 bodies in the crease. Metcalf's laying down. The whistle blows. LeBerg was in the area. We're back to even strength. And it looks like the Grizzlies have averted danger as Garrett was able to cover up the puck. 7:32 left in the third. And after the whistle, Johnny Walker, Victor Bartley and company out there protecting Kansas City as everybody ended up in the crease. Mullen having some words with Walker. This wouldn't be the time where you want to take a penalty here, as it looks like Walker's going to skate towards the bench. It doesn't look like there's going to be any penalties either way, as Walker continuing to communicate towards the Kansas City bench. Now he'll skate off the ice. Let's see if there's going to be any penalties either way. Looks like they're going to go to video replay. I don't hear the audio from Kansas City, but it looks like they're going to video replay. The call on the ice is no goal. So they're going to go check to make sure that the puck didn't cross the goal line. Alex Normanton will look at the tablet with one of the linesmen. Hopefully we'll get a replay. Unfortunately, sometimes they don't give us a replay on these video reviews. There's so many bodies that were out in front that it's going to be tough to tell if that puck crossed the goal line unless you have something straight down that's unobstructed. If you got one of those type of views, then maybe you're able to see where the puck is. Otherwise, I don't know how they're going to be able to overturn the call, which right now is listed as no goal. So they're going to continue to review it. 7:32 is left in the third period. It's 3-2 Utah. They finally show a replay, it looks like, as Metcalf had made the save, and he left some loose change out in front. Kansas City skated in. That was McKenna. And then a Grizzly was down in the goal line. Walker was there as well. McDonald had the puck towards him. It's going to be impossible for the official to spot where the puck is. Because of that, there's almost no choice but to say no goal. And if they do signal a goal, it would be very puzzling to figure out what they saw, if that's the only view they were able to see. That the view that they showed on Flow Sports was looking directly down from up top at the goal line. And then the Grizzlies, they had a couple bodies that were in the net. They were in there, making sure that it didn't squirt in. Looks like the linesman and referee, they're looking it over on the tablet, are taking one good long look at it. They're probably looking at that same angle that we saw on Flow Sports multiple times. As the linesman cleans out his visor, and we'll see. Right now it's 3-2 Utah. Kansas City with one unanswered, 10:21 into the third. That was a 4-on-4 goal scored by LeBerg, with McLaughlin and Sandbrook getting the assists. Garrett Metcalf so far has stopped 30 of 32. Kansas City's Dylan Kelly has stopped 24 of 27. As they're continuing to look at it, a couple Kansas City fans are looking over the shoulder of the referee to see if they can get a view of it. And one guy in a Seattle Kraken jersey. Kraken are the NHL affiliate of the Mavericks. Grizzlies' NHL affiliate is the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. In fact, I think I saw that the Eagles coaching staff are going to get Stanley Cup championship rings, and that does include former Grizzlies head coach Tim Branham. They're continuing to look it over. Right now it's 3-2 Grizzlies. If Kansas City does score, that would tie up the game. But like I said, on the one view we saw, there's no way you can see where the puck is. There's just too many bodies there. And it looked like the call on the ice was no goal. As looks like everybody for Kansas City is just standing up outside their bench. In fact, it looks like there's about 10 guys on the ice for Kansas City standing up. Only a few people are sitting down on their bench as they're continuing to look it over. Now it looks like they finally put down the tablet. What is the call on the ice? If you have Flow Sports, you might be able to hear it. No goal, says the referee. And it stays a 3-2 Utah lead. Good job by the Grizzlies defensive unit. Metcalf hasn't allowed too many rebounds, but that was a rebound out in front in Kansas City. Jeremy McKenna in particular trying to get that loose change and convert on it for the tying goal. But it stays 3-2. Hugo Wall will take the faceoff for Kansas City against Utah's Zach Sekos. Draw won by Sekos and the Grizzlies as it goes to the right corner. Utah skating from right to left in this third period. They're deep in their own zone as Victor Bartley will get it out towards Tardif. Back to Bartley. He'll feed it to center ice. Bounces off a stick. Utah towards the right wing. Wright gets knocked down. Mavericks come back the other way. Kansas City to the right side. Gets around Klerman. Drops it off as Kansas City gets spun around towards Metcalf, and the Grizz poke it back to the corner. That was Tristan Mullen in the area. Now to the right point. Mavericks with a shot. Now they got redirected as it hit off a stick and went high. As it stays in play, Grizz will carry it out to center ice. Ben Tardif will veer off to the right. And so give it to Wright. He gets around a skater. He'll take a shot. Saved by Kelly. Rebound goes back to the left side as Wright hits Kansas City with a high stick. The referee is right in the area but didn't call it as Kansas City feeds over to the right side of the Utah blue line. Puck ends up lifting in the air as Utah tried to clear it out and fanned on it. Puck rolls towards Bartley. He gets it across to McDonald. Connor across the left side for Tardif, and he'll dump it into the right corner as Kansas City will get it out to center ice. McDonald racing after it. McDonald gets there first as it pokes towards the slot. Now the Grizz get it back to the right side as Raby around his own net. He avoids a check. Dakota gets back checked. Couldn't get much on a pass, but it glides towards Bartley. Victor nudges it ahead. Pfizer to the left side. Skates just outside the circle. He'll drop it off as Raby will skate towards his right. He'll feed it to the right side. Less than 6 minutes left in regulation. Lefty shot bounces off the boards. It was more of a pass off the boards by Martin than a shot as Kansas City will carry it out to center ice. They'll chip it over to the right corner as LeBerg gets around Martin. Now it goes back over there. Tried to find LeBerg behind the net. Utah pokes it away. Nilsson on two knees gets it ahead. Utah lifts it in the air to Penner. Tyler dumps it in from the left side as it rolls around the boards. Kelly lets it go to the right corner. Theo Calvis gets it. He collides with Jamison. Grizzlies will feed it back to the left corner. Kansas City runs it down. They'll get it to center ice as the Mavericks skate towards the left side. Grizzlies poke it back to center. Now it goes deep into the Mavericks zone, and it looks like it's going to be icing on the Grizz. 5:15 is left in the third. It's still 3-2 Utah, but Kansas City has built a little bit of momentum with their goal, 10:21 into the third, and then a little bit of power play time where they were able to get in the offensive zone a little bit. And so for Utah, they're going to have to earn the 2 points tonight as Kansas City won on Tuesday 3-2. This is game 2 of a 3-game set. Tomorrow night, 5:50 pregame show, 6:05 faceoff will be the series finale. Left side shot saved by Metcalf as Kansas City won the faceoff, and somebody off the screen, might be Josh Helms, fired away, and Metcalf is able to make the stop. Well, Garrett's seen a lot of shots, but he has stopped all but 2. I think he has saved 31 of 33. 5:12 left in the third, and it looks like we got a timeout. We'll take one as well. We'll come back in 30 seconds and tell you how this one wraps up as Utah's up by 3-2. You're listening to the Grizzlies Hockey Network. Looks like we got a barn burner over at Cable Dahmer Arena as Garrett Metcalf has stopped 32 of 34. It's kind of interesting when you think about that series that he played against Kansas City in March of 2022 at Maverick Center. His final 2 games before suffering a season-ending injury, he saw a lot of shots in those 2 games as well. He stopped 39 of 40 on March 11th as Utah won 3-1. In his final game of the season before getting surgery, he stopped 40 of 43 as Utah got a 6-3 victory. Tonight, he's already seen 34 shots in about 55 minutes of action against Kansas City. Dylan Kelly for the Mavericks has stopped 24 of 27. Draw's going to be in the left circle of the Grizzlies zone. Zach Sekos has taken a lot of the big face-offs. Josh Lamont for Kansas City. Mavericks win the draw, but it goes between the Mavericks defensemen. Kelly skates out of his crease to nudge an outlet pass to center ice. And the puck ends up at center ice towards the penalty box area. Tardif in the left wing gets it, and he'll flip it high into the air, lifted on him, and goes out of play as a fan gets a souvenir over on the right side of the Mavericks zone. Keegan Haldishell talking things over. It was a clear in from center ice, so no delay of game as the draw comes back towards neutral ice. 4:54 left in the third. Actually, it's going to be a center ice face-off, just as you would see at the start of a period. Ben Tardif's got to get star honors tonight. He's got 1 goal and 1 assist for the Grizzlies. As Utah wins the draw, Nelson will nudge it ahead. Sekos looking to run it down. Kansas City has it in their own corner. They turn it over. As Tardif skates towards the slot, backhand shot. That goes wide as he was looking for his second of the game. As Kansas City will skate out to center ice. Haldishell will feed it ahead, and Utah pokes it back to center ice. Tardif tried to dump it in, kind of fanned on it as he's being surrounded by 3 Mavericks. Tardif trying to locate it, but it's taken away by Cole Koski. As the Mavericks will back it out into their own zone, feed a right wing pass. As Sambrook will skate in. He gets blasted. Oh, it's going to be a penalty. As Kansas City got blasted in the right side, it's a penalty by Utah. As the Mavericks spin it along the boards over to the left wing. As Utah will touch up the puck. It's probably going to be interference as Sambrook was skating along the right wing boards. He got hit. And if you're a Grizzlies fan, you're probably not too happy about this one. As Kansas City is going to get a power play. Tripping's going to be the call, even though it didn't look like the Kansas City player, was able to leave, really got impeded too much. And the referee's signal looked like tripping, even though, you'd probably say if it was anything, maybe it'd be interference. So a tough break for the Grizzlies as Ben Tardif is in the Rogers and Russell Legal Solutions holding cell. Kansas City gets a power play. They are 0 for 4 on the man advantage tonight. As the Mavericks win the faceoff, Utah leads 3-2. As Kansas City to the left side skates towards the corner. As they spread the ice, they'll feed it to the left point. Now across to LeBerg. Up top, Mavericks feed it to the left circle. Shot saved by Metcalf. As Garrett, couldn't tell if he held on or if it bounced out of play. Either way, play stops as Tristan Mullen took that last shot. 1:44 left in the Kansas City power play. 3:50 is left in regulation. Attendance tonight over at Cable Dahmer Arena. 2,741, 2,741 over at Cable Dahmer as Utah wins the faceoff and they clear it out. Good job by the Grizzlies winning faceoffs here in the third period. As Kansas City will start their attack from left to right. As they're looking for the tying goal, Utah is looking for some insurance. As the Mavericks back it out into their own zone. Now they'll cross center ice from the left wing. Now they'll carry it over the offensive line, skate towards the goal line. As they skate towards the right goal line, try to feed it across, picked off by Utah. McDonald over in the corner. Kansas City gets it. As they'll skate back right wing. And Mullen, now it's up top. Mavericks over to the high slot. McLaughlin with a shot and a score as the Mavericks have tied it up. McLaughlin fired towards the net. I didn't see if it got redirected. And looks like it was a clean goal by McLaughlin as he skates towards the bench first. And it's a brand new game. As it's a power play goal for Kansas City. And the lights are flickering on and off over at Cable Dahmer Arena as the Mavericks for the second straight night have scored 2 unanswered in the third. And we're tied at 3. McLaughlin fired towards the net. Way out in front was Mullen. But this time it didn't look like Mullen got a piece of it. As McLaughlin fired away. McLaughlin pointed towards Mullen, but it was tough to tell from the replay whether Mullen redirected it or not. Who cares? The only thing that matters is we're tied at 3. as it's anybody's game as Kansas City has charged ahead, and they've broken even. Grizzlies 3 goals unanswered in the second period. Kansas City 2 unanswered in the third. The puck's deep in the Grizzlies zone as they skate around the net. Mavericks feed it up top to the left side. Now across. Sandbrook gets over to the slot. Kansas City pokes it into the near corner. Grizzlies skate around to their net with the puck, and they'll clear it out to center. Racing after it is Nate Konipke. He's 6'3", 198 pounds. As the Mavericks are at the center ice, Utah picks it off. It's Grizz. Klorman gets it poked away back to center ice. Now it's taken by Pfizer. 2:28 and counting left in the third. We're tied at 3. It's Kansas City. Throws to the right side as LeBerg overskated the puck. Would have been delayed offside, so he lets it go, but it looks like offside's called anyway. 2:22 left in the third. Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 3. Draw's going to be at neutral ice. McLaughlin picked up the goal. LeBerg and Pastajov with the assists. So McLaughlin with 1 goal and 1 assist, with each of that coming in the third period. Time of goal 16:50 in. Kansas City's 1 for 5 on the power play. Utah is 0 for 2. Sekos will take the neutral zone draw. It's won by the Grizz as Cam Wright will feed it back to a defenseman. And I think that's Klorman. He'll get it to Nilsson. Blue line to blue line pass. Andrew dumps it in as puck is deep in the Maverick zone, right side. As they'll get it around to the left corner. Kansas City will lift it high into the air as the puck bounces into the Grizzlies zone. As Connor McDonald chases after it, he'll feed it to the corner. Utah will carry it ahead as Kansas City picks it off. They feed it over to the far circle. Utah picks it off again. Tardif will skate into the offensive zone. Right side, he'll nudge it to the corner. Tried to chase after it. McLaughlin got there first. McLaughlin towards the left side. Now Tardif will feed it to the high slot for Penner. He'll take a shot, and that's blocked by Pastajov, the new Kansas City captain. Now right behind the net, over to Penner as he'll bounce it off the near boards. Over to Tardif. He'll feed it to the high slot for Klorman. He fires a shot as saved by Kelly. As the big Kansas City goaltender holds on. Dylan Kelly is listed at 6'5" and 216 pounds. 1:26 is left in the third period. Grizzlies will have an offensive zone draw. And boy, what a crazy game it has been. A lot of back-to-back action. And, of course, I'm losing my voice as a result of it. Cutler will take the face-off on the right side. He's got Pfizer to his left. As the draw looks like we'll do it over again. 1:26 left in the third. Kansas City has outshot Utah 35-28. And the draw won by Utah. Right point, Klorman gets it to Nilsson. Andrew, I tried to feather it out in front. It goes wide and rolls off the far boards. Now right circle, Grizzlies shoot, and that one goes wide. As puck ends up back to the left side. Cutler tries to feed it out in front. Kansas City pokes it away. 1 minute left in regulation. Grizz deep in their own zone. They get it. They'll kick it out to Raby. Now Utah crosses center. Cutler gets blasted as he entered the offensive zone. Pfizer delivers a big hit in the offensive corner. Cutler's in the area. 45 seconds left. We're tied at 3. Pfizer feeds it up top to Bartley. Now to McDonald. McDonald switches places with Bartley. Klorman will take a shot. Saved by Kelly. He holds on. 35.6 seconds left in the third. As Kelly talking with the referee about Grizzlies' bodies getting out in front of the net. We got a barn burner over at Independence, Missouri at Cable Dahmer Arena. 35 seconds left. Can the Grizzlies find a way here in the final half minute to come away with 2 standings points? Sekos will take the face off. He's got Tardif to his left. Draw won by Kansas City. So they'll skate from left to right. Turnover. Sekos has it. He'll skate to the right side. Now to the circle. Sekos drops it off for Tardif. Ben over to Klorman. He spins it back along behind the net. 20 seconds left. Grizz over in the corner. It's Kansas City battling as the Mavericks along the far wall. Sekos in the area. 12 seconds left. 2 Grizzlies and 2 Mavericks hack away. Grizzlies skate towards the far goal line. Now they feather it across. 4 seconds. Utah with a shot that gets blocked by Calvis and deflects out of play with 2.5 seconds left in the third. So it looks like we might be headed for overtime, but the Grizzlies don't pull off a miracle here in the final 2 seconds. Good shift by Theo Calvis. He's played a good third period for Kansas City. Boy, the Grizz had a 3-1 lead after 2 periods, but 2 unanswered by Kansas City. One was a 4-on-4 goal, and the other on the power play. We'll go over all the scoring during the postgame report. But it looks like, barring a miracle here in the final 2.5 seconds left, we'll be headed for overtime. Cameron Wright on the ice on the right wing, McDonald on the left, Tardif up top. Sekos has won quite a bit of his faceoffs here tonight. Waz kicked out of the faceoff circle. Cheremko will take the draw. And the draw won by Kansas City. And that will do it for the third period. Utah led 3-1 after 2 periods, but Kansas City scores 2 unanswered. Jordan McLaughlin, or make that Jake McLaughlin, had 1 goal and 1 assist. The game-tying goal was scored by McLaughlin on the power play. We'll come back in 30 seconds and have overtime from Cable Dahmer Arena. This is the Grizzlies Hockey Network.
If you're out driving and something happens to your car, truck, or even wheelchair, and you end up stuck at a rail crossing, it's going to be okay. Don't panic. Here's what you do. Get out if you can and look for this blue sign on the metal pole. Call the number on the blue sign, and when they answer, tell them the crossing number. The number is right here. This tells them the exact location of the crossing. This is the fastest way to get trains stopped before coming through the crossing. Look for the blue. It helps you.
It's the Grizzlies 3 and the Mavericks 3 as we're headed for overtime. We'll skate 3-on-3, 7-minute overtime in this league. First overtime game for the Grizzlies this season. Kansas City earned the standing point by scoring 2 goals unanswered in the third. Pascal LeBerg scored a 4-on-4 goal, 10-21 into the third as he redirected a McLaughlin shot. And that was McLaughlin who scored on the power play 16:50 in. LeBerg and Passagov with the assists. Ben Tardif's got 1 goal and 1 assist. Watch out for him in the overtime session. It looks like they took an assist away from Tardif, so he now just has 1 assist. And they've given Cameron Wright an assist instead of Tardif. So Wright has 2 assists for the Grizzlies. Sekos will take the face off. He's pretty good in open ice. Looks like it's the first overtime game for Kansas City this season as well. Nick Passagov will take the draw for Kansas City. Both teams get 1 standing point. Who's going to get that other one? We'll find out as Utah wins the faceoff. They're skating from left to right. As Klerman crosses center ice, he'll skate towards the corner. As Klerman skates towards his offensive goal line, Kansas City gets tripped up by Klerman. No call. Mavericks 2-on-2 as they get back checked by Tardif. Sekos has the puck. He'll skate towards his own goal line, now around Metcalf's net. Sekos towards the near side, avoids a check. Kansas City gets it. So they'll peel back into their own zone 30 seconds into overtime. Mavericks cross center ice. Now they gain the line to the left side. Now they'll drop it back off to neutral ice. Mavericks will peel back into their own zone using a very methodical approach. McLaughlin up ahead to center ice. Mullen will skate down the middle. He's surrounded by 2 Grizzlies. Now veer off into the near corner as Mullen gets it taken away. Now Tardif comes back the other way. He'll feed it across the left side. Cutler skates towards the circle. He tried to find Tardif out in front, and the pass went wide. Puck rolls along the near boards. Mullen gets it his offensive line. So he'll drop it off for Muck. Muck will stop in the corner as he's being shadowed by Cutler as Kansas City will skate towards the right point. Mavericks will back it out to neutral ice themselves. Pascal LeBerg, who picked up a big third period goal to make it 3-2. As he'll get it to Hugo Waugh. He'll skate towards his right as he's in the zone. Drops off for Passagov. He'll take a shot, and that's blocked. Good job by Terran Pfizer. He'll nudge it ahead to center ice. Taking it is Cutler. Cutler will skate towards the left side. He'll bounce it off the far boards. Trying to get it back to Pfizer. It's picked off. Puck ends up deep into the Grizzly zone. Metcalf wants icing, and the official concurs. Icing is on the Mavericks. 5:14 left in overtime. If neither team scores in the overtime session, we'll have a shootout. Dylan Kelly takes up a bunch of the net. So far tonight, he has stopped 26 of 29. Both teams had 11 shots in the third period. Kansas City had 2 find the back of the net, and that's why we're playing overtime here as Utah led 3-1 after 2 periods. Sekos will take the face-off. He's got Wright to his right, and the draw won by Sekos. As Wright gets it in the right point, he'll feed it to, I think, Raby on the left side. It is Raby. As Raby near the boards, he's being shadowed by Jaremko, as Raby will skate towards his right, as he'll get it to the slot. Klorman, righty shot, and he scores! Cameron Wright gets his second of the year, and the Grizzlies get the extra standing point as Cameron Wright's the hero tonight. Good job by the Grizzlies as Raby dropped it off for Wright. He was all alone in the left circle. He fired away, and that has to feel good as the Grizzlies high fives and hugs all around as Cameron Wright getting congratulated by his teammates. Johnny Walker with a hug of Cameron Wright as he gets his second of the season. There's no doubt who the number 1 star is tonight, as Cameron Wright has 1 goal and 2 assists, including the game winner, 2:04 into overtime. Raby should get an assist. We'll find out if somebody else gets an assist on that one, as the Grizzlies get the second game of the series, and Cameron Wright is the hero as he scores from the left circle. That means that Garrett Metcalf gets the victory, and it's good to see as he did an outstanding job in his 2022-23 debut. Garrett stopped 32 of 35 as he comes away with the victory, as Cameron Wright talking things over. Looks like the emergency backup, Mario Vrab, talking it over with one of the ice workers, as the Grizzlies walk off the ice happy as they come away with 2 standings points, as Cameron Wright gets the overtime game winner, 2:04 into overtime. We'll recap this one coming back as it's a happy Friday night as Utah comes away with their 3rd victory of the season, and they end a 2-game losing skid as they are now 2-2 on the current road trip. You're listening to the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Siegfried and Jensen. It was a game of runs tonight, but it's the Grizzlies that come out on top as Cameron Wright got the overtime game winner, 2:04 in, as Kansas City did a good job earning a standing point tonight, but it's the Grizzlies that come away with the 2 points as their record goes to 3-3 on the season. Kansas City falls to 3-1-1 through 5 games in their campaign. For the Grizzlies, you think about a first period where they were looking for some offensive consistency, but it was Kansas City that outshot Utah 11-5 in the first period. It was scoreless until Nick Pastajov found the back of the net with 47 seconds left in the first period. Jeremy McKenna and Pascal LeBerg, I think there was somebody named Patrick LeBerg who used to play baseball or something. Pascal LeBerg with the assist, and Kansas City led 1-0 after 1. Grizzlies offense finally got rolling the first 9 minutes of that second period, scoring 3 goals. Utah got on the board 2:02 into the second as Tyler Penner got his first of the year. Cameron Wright and Bryson Martin with the assist. And then 2 minutes and 10 seconds later, Ben Tardif gave Utah a 2-1 lead as he scored from the right circle on a one-timer. Sekos and Wright with the assist. Tardif originally had an assist on the Penner goal, but they changed that, and Cameron Wright got the assist instead of Tardif. And so Wright had 2 second-period assists, and Utah led 2-1 after Tardif scored 4:12 into the second. Utah extended the lead as Andrew Nilsson scored on a one-timer from the slot. 8:45 into the second, Pfizer and Klorman with the assists. After 2 periods, Utah led 3-1, but Kansas City continued to battle. About 5 seconds after a 4-on-4 situation ensued, Pascal LeBerg redirected a Jake McLaughlin shot, and the time of that goal was 10:21 in. Jordan Sandbrook also with an assist, and so the Mavericks cut into the Utah lead. At that point, it was a 3-2 Utah advantage, and then the Mavericks got a power play as Ben Tardif got a tripping minor, and if you look at it, it was kind of a controversial call from Grizzlies fans' perspective, and Kansas City capitalized. McLaughlin from the slot fired away. Puck kind of had some English to it, and it looked like Tristan Mullen was trying to redirect it, but it looked like Mullen didn't get a piece of it as McLaughlin scored cleanly. And how about a third period for Jake McLaughlin, as he had 1 goal and 1 assist in that third. Pascal LeBerg and Nick Passagov with the assists. LeBerg ended the night with 1 goal and 2 assists. McLaughlin, 1 goal and 1 assist. Passagov also 1 goal and 1 assist. And when McLaughlin scored on the power play with 3:10 left in regulation, that tied it up at 3. We headed to overtime. There was 1 shot taken by either side in the extra session, and it was Cameron Wright. As Dakota Raby was on the left side, dropped it off for Wright, and he was all alone and fired away and got it past Dylan Kelly. And that's Cameron Wright's second game winner, as the empty net goal he had last Friday with 39 seconds left against Idaho turned out to be the game winner in that one, as Idaho scored with about 13 seconds left, and so the empty netter turned out Utah needed that one. And so Wright's second goal as a professional, that's also a game winner, as he scored 2:04 in. Raby and Andrew Nilsson with the assist. So a good game for Nilsson, who had 1 goal and 1 assist. Cameron Wright had 1 goal and 2 assists. Tardif and Penner each found the back of the net. Klerman, Sekos, Raby, and Pfizer each had 1 assist. And you talk about an interesting contest where Kansas City outshot Utah 35-30, but it's the Grizzlies that come away with the 2 standings points. Kansas City won the battle of the special teams. They went 1 for 5 on the power play. Utah was 0 for 2. Some other action. We'll talk with Guy Karenza and get his thoughts on the Grizzlies' victory. Other action in the league tonight. All but one of them have gone final. Wichita defeats Allen 3-2. Allen scored 2 goals in the third, but it wasn't enough as Wichita gets the 2 standings points over at Intrust Bank Arena. Florida defeats Jacksonville 3-1. It was also a 3-1 final. Newfoundland over Maine. The Savannah Ghost Pirates lose their first game as a franchise, as Greenville gets a 3-2 victory over them. Savannah goes to 4-1 this season. In overtime, the Trois-Rivières Lions defeat Adirondack 4-3. Wheeling over Reading 2-1. Toledo got a game-winning goal by Mitchell Hurd in overtime as they defeat Kalamazoo 4-3. Indy defeats Iowa 5-2. Iowa starts their season 0-6. And Atlanta defeats Orlando 5-0 as the Gladiators go to 4-2. Orlando is now 1-3-1. One game in progress. Rapid City and Idaho are tied at 1. Second intermission. Neither team scored in the second period. Well, when you talk about heroes tonight, Cameron Wright is at the top of the list. He had 1 goal and 2 assists. He should be the #1 star of the game. We'll check out the 3 stars here momentarily as we're talking with Guy Karenza. I'm glad the game ended when it did because I don't think I had much of a voice left. Hopefully I'll have something left for tomorrow in the rubber match as the Grizzlies have an opportunity to win the series. And you got to hand it to Kansas City. You know, Kansas City was able to score the 2 goals there in the third period, get a standing point of their own. But Cameron Wright ends up as the hero tonight with the game winner from the left circle.
Yeah, Cameron Wright played the role of hero tonight, and you know what? He was really good in college, and we talked about that during the preseason and in the early parts of the season here. And we were waiting for him to get rolling, waiting for really all of the Grizzlies offensive players to get rolling. And it's really great to see that they're finally hitting their stride tonight. This is just the beginning for the Grizzlies offense.
It was good to, really do some things offensively, not necessarily need Taryn Pfizer to do it. Pfizer had 1 assist tonight, but you think about a Grizzlies team that had 10 goals in the first 5 games. They exploded for 3 goals in the first 9 minutes of the second period, and then Kansas City, Utah had that 3-1 lead, and really for Kansas City, it was a 4-on-4 goal, and it was a power play goal, and both of them looked similar. McLaughlin was in the high slot, just kind of fired towards the net. One of them got redirected, and I can't quite remember who ended up redirecting that one. I think it was actually LeBerg that redirected that one, and then McLaughlin got it himself. It was LeBerg that redirected, and then McLaughlin tied it up on the power play. And you could say that they earned the standing point, but, Garrett Metcalf, held strong. You think about those goals. I mean, you think about that's probably the first 2 goals that were really scored away from the paint by Kansas City. One of them got redirected, and I think that Tristan Mullen kind of took away some of Metcalf's vision on that game-tying goal, so he didn't really see it. Otherwise, I think Garrett played outstanding in his first start of the season.
Yeah, Garrett was great. You know, on those types of goals, and all credit to McLaughlin, he's a great player, and he showed that tonight. But on those kind of goals, you know, deflection out in front, there's not a whole lot he can do on those shots to make a save there. So I thought he had a really great game. I mean, the hometown hero, Salt Lake City native, Garrett Metcalf, he had a great game. And glad that he was able to return after a scary situation where we thought that he might have to have the E-bug come in there. But he was solid, and it's really good to see him back in net.
Yeah, late in the second period, Colin Lee, the Grizzlies trainer, had to check him out, but Garrett was able to stay in the game. And so I think it's big that, the Grizzlies have a chance to win the series tomorrow against Kansas City. And really for a team like Kansas City who's trying to find a way to come into their own, Tato had in his third season, but they're a club that missed the playoffs each of the last 2 years, in fact, each of the last 3 years. And so for Utah, I think it's big if you can find a way to win 2 out of 3 and then head to Allen. We're really not sure what to expect from them. They lost to Wichita 3-2 tonight, and the Grizzlies went 5-0 against Allen last season. So, if you can win tomorrow night, go 3-2 through 5 games in the road trip, head to Allen, I mean, you could head back to Maverick Center for that Thursday night showdown on November 17th against Idaho, after a pretty good road trip. If the offense can continue to produce the way they have, at least here tonight.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for the Grizzlies and a big win because Kansas City, from what we've seen, has improved this year, and they've got a lot riding on this season, and they've been up to the challenge so far. For the Grizzlies, you hate to surrender that standing point today, but if they can get the win in this series, go 3-2 on the road trip, and then possibly, get some wins in Allen, those are big points to earn early on in the season. The offense is finally rolling. This is really good for them.
It was a fun one here tonight as Utah gets the 4-3 victory. Cameron Wright gets the game winner 2:04 into overtime. Any final thoughts before we leave here tonight?
Well, as you said, it was a barn burner. It was a fun game to watch. Tune in tomorrow because I expect it to be more of the same. The first 2 games in this series were great. Tomorrow's going to be great.
5:50 pregame show, 6:05 face-off. Let's get to the 3 stars of the game. Looks like the Grizzlies swept the 3 stars. Ben Tardif. Originally, it looked like he had an assist in the second period, but it looked like Tardif, they took that away and gave it to Cameron Wright. 1 goal for Ben Tardif. He was a +1 at 3 shots. I thought he was outstanding tonight, and so did whoever picked the 3 stars. As he's the number 3 star of the game. Number 2 star, 1 goal and 1 assist. He was a +2. He got an assist on the game winner that was scored by Wright. Andrew Nilsson is the number 2 star, and the number 1 star, to no one's surprise, is Cameron Wright, who had 1 goal, 2 assists, both of those assists coming in the second period. He had 3 shots, and one of them found the back of the net. I think one other thing of note, Nate Klerman led the Grizzlies with 5 shots, but outside of that, there were a lot of Grizzlies that had 2 or 3 shots to their stat total. We mentioned Klerman with 3, Cameron Wright 1 goal on 3 shots, Ben Tardif 1 goal on 3 shots, Dakota Raby and Andrew Nilsson each had 3 shots. Nilsson obviously a goal on his 3 attempts. Connor McDonald, Bryson Martin, Sekos, Penner, and Cutler each had 2 shots. And I make a mention of that because I think the Grizzlies, it was mentioned before the season, and I think it could play out this way that, even though we have seen Pfizer score a lot of goals earlier in the year, Cameron Wright, I expect to, once he gets adjusted to the pro game, I think he's going to be quite a goal scorer in this league. Other than that, it seems like it's going to be a pretty balanced goal-scoring attack by the Grizzlies. One of those where you expect to see a lot of scoring by your third line, a decent amount of goals from your defensive unit. Andrew Nilsson certainly has the ability to score. Guy, will talk to you one more time. That scoring depth for the Grizzlies, I think, is certainly going to be key to their defense of the Mountain Division title, because when you can get goals from all 3 forward lines and even defensemen contributing offensively, that can make for a dangerous offensive unit down the stretch.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what you want. I mean, teams that have that offensive depth are the teams that go far in the postseason and the teams that win divisions, as you mentioned before. So, Tyson, I think it really is important for guys like Cameron Wright to get going. Zach Sekos, Taryn Pfizer has already shown that he's able to provide some scoring for the Grizzlies. So if you can get those guys all on their A game, you can have a game where, maybe Ben Tardif doesn't have to have, 2 points a night or, get on the score sheet. I mean, Brandon Cutler, he wasn't on the score sheet tonight, and the Grizzlies ended up getting the win. So I think that's really crucial for them going forward is they need those guys to produce.
It was a fun one tonight. Guy, we'll talk to you on Saturday evening. 5:50 pregame show, 6:05 face-off for the rubber match as Kansas City won 3-2 on Tuesday night. And after 2 days off, Cameron Wright plays the role of the hero as he got the overtime game winner, 2:04 into overtime as Utah gets a 4-3 victory. Once again, in 2 hours and 39 minutes and in front of 2,741 over at Cable Dahmer Arena, it was the Cameron Wright show as he had 1 goal and 2 assists, including the game winner, as the Grizzlies advance their record of 3-3 on the season. They are 2-2 halfway through the current 8-game road trip, as tomorrow night will be Game 5 of 8 straight away from Maverick Center. Kansas City gets a standing point. They are now 3-1-1, and they have 7 standings points on the season. Grizzlies, with the victory, now have 6 standings points on the year. For Guy Carenza, I'm Tyson Whiting. It is what it is. We'll talk to you tomorrow evening, 5:50 pregame show, as Grizzlies take on the Mavericks in the rubber match. You've been listening to the Grizzlies Hockey Network, presented by Mountain Land Supply Company.